out for someone that you care about. So please. Already the death toll has risen to 30 all across the nation. 30 states affected. I don't know if it has spread beyond that. We'll get more information from the NCDC as time goes by. So please, let's look out for each other. Let's look out for one another. Call home, call anywhere. I know that one of the things that a number of people will always say is, the legislators have their projects cut out for them, the things that they're supposed to do, that. Yes. But then so do we have our own responsibilities as a people. I mean, government has their own job cut out. Remember one of the issues, if you watched the program the last time we spoke with the NCDC DG, was I raised the fact that the local government administrations had a yeoman's job to do, a big job to do, ensuring the safety of the environment, ensuring that people, the local government environmental health officers came around to ensure that our environments are the way they ought to be. I don't know if that still happens. I hope that all those 30 states are taking precautionary actions now to ensure that these things are done. Thankfully, a state like Lagos, even though worst hit right now, could contain it. Just imagine that they didn't have some of these, precautionary things put in place. I'm just saying. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to engage an official of the Lagos State government soon so as to put this information out and let people know what they are doing to ensure that all these things are prevented. So that's one thing. And I think it just also calls for the need for the state government and all state governments to be creative as we can be. And talking about creative, I'm aware that the information we put out, that Alibaba put out the last time we had this conversation about the creative industry in Nigeria, is going quite, he gave me that feedback that, he's been getting some reactions from it. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm actually enthused by that fact. And the question was put out deliberately so government can pay attention to it. If we are looking for revenue as a nation, and we have this huge population of young people who can create stuff and make money from it and return money to the country, why not? Okay, there is this information from the Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa. This information came out actually early this year. It says that Nigeria has a creative economy that will increase the country's GDP by at least $100 billion by year 2030. Please, do the math. Year 2030 is how many years away now? I won't call it 6 years. Okay, let me say 5 years, just to be nice. 5 years. So what is the value as of today? Alibaba revealed to us the last time he came here that Lagos State alone, has the capacity to generate something in the region of 20 to 25 billion naira every weekend. Weekend only. And when we had some conversations beyond, and he also made some startling revelations that this is not some figure that they came up with. They worked with the Fashola government when he was in Lagos, and they said at the time it was 16 billion naira every weekend alone. He said the governor didn't believe it. Governor said, go back and do it again. And they went back and said, okay, it's not just that. In fact, someone said, no, parties, they don't make up to that. The creative economy is wide. So now, what are the things that you find in the creative economy, in the creative industry in Nigeria? Music, movies, comedy, a lot more than that. How about arts, right? How about fashion? How about all of the value, everything in the value chain, the logistics of it, the designing of it? I mean, you have, and when you talk about music, you're talking about a whole chunk of things. It is in this same creative economy that you stream music, you stream movies. It's all part of the creative economy. So can we harness this? Guys, $100 billion a year by 2030. That's a whole lot. So what's the infrastructure that we are putting in place to get that? Okay, I'm just talking about the money. Okay, fine. How about the employment capacity? How about the employment potential? As at now, information out there says the creative economy alone in Nigeria is engaging something in the region of 4.2 million Nigerians, mostly young people, of course. So now imagine that government actually puts an infrastructure around that creative economy in the north, south, east, and west, in all 6 geopolitical zones. And there is good collaboration between the federal government and the state governments and the local governments and the creative economy themselves. Please just imagine what capacity we have. That's just food for thought. And one of the things that I also understand is that there are so many things happening all over the world that can be done here. Boat racing. Kara Bridge is just here, right? It's not too far from us here. I mean, just imagine, there is this skyline that we show, I think it's in Taraba State. It's a very long, stream of water. I mean, just imagine boat racing. What they do there now is the fishing festival. Fine, wonderful, amazing. So just imagine that there are some areas all across the nation that we can have all kinds of things that we can do with our water. Boat racing, we have marathons in Lagos now, and so many other things that can be done. Huge potential in Nigeria, but as my people say, you can't cook potential in a pot of soup. So I think it's about time we got cracking, don't you think? So let's get quickly to the menu this morning. We're beginning with some risk of violent extremism along the borders. That's the first conversation we are having this morning. And what that is all about, you'll find out. Then there is this police recruitment controversy between the Nigeria Police and the Police Service Commission. We need some perspective, some clarity. Both sides, one way or the other, have put out information, but that conversation we'll have later on this morning. Promoting brain health. That's one of the conversations we'll also be having today. There are some people who don't know that, particularly for children, too much screen time kills the brain. Yeah, Google it. Don't take my word for it. Lifestyle today is interesting, as you can see. It's all about belly fat. Yeah, everything about it. And the artist, God, okay, I think I already let it out. The artist of the week is someone that's going to crack your ribs. I'm not going to tell you whether it's a he or a she. So do me one favor. It's a very prominent one, and you will enjoy the program today. So please do me that one more favor we always ask you. Get your cup of cocoa, or if you prefer, your cocoa, and let's get cracking after this break.
We no know waiting kill him, Papa. That same thing go kill him. Hey. You are welcome to the next level. When I look up, now commotion. When I look down, now frustration. When I look at my side, now bother. Now so bother. To reach the top, now connection. If you no get person, now stagnation. When I look my side, now bother. Now so bother. Okay. One day, our Niger go do. Now so then they talk. One day, our mumu go do. Now so we talk. This country take our hand. Rise up and take it command. We they see them, we know they blind. Oh. We must fight for our right. Oh. Anyhow, mambo, this next level, now hot water, bubble up. They just do what's yeah. See them with their big belly. Then go they use religion to cause plenty confusion. Sometimes the tribalism, poverty and nepotism. When hunger fire person, you go weak, you no go fit talk again. Today, I say, please go blow. Fire on yash go open it. Masquerade the face go show. stand. Rise up and take it command. We dey see them, we know they blind, oh. We must fight for our right, oh. Anyhow, man must die, oh, yeah,
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Now, a new report says there is ample evidence that jihadi fighters from the Sahel region have crossed into Nigeria through the Benin Republic border. Well, the report is it's a Dutch think tank report titled Dangerous Liaisons that says the risk of extreme violence along the border between northern Benin and Nigeria are there, and it was done an extensive research done in the Sahel. It says jihadi fighters who had long operated in Africa's volatile Sahel region have settled in northwestern Nigeria after crossing from the neighboring Benin. And that report on Wednesday said the last trend in the militant movement to wealthier West African nations is what has just happened, and how troubling is it? You may want to get more details of that in this conversation with Pastor Ladi Thompson, who is a security consultant and has actually been on this kind of conversation for a while. Thank you for joining us this morning, Pastor Thompson.
The pleasure is always mine.
And Dr. Oyewole Ogini is a senior researcher at Bonn International Center for Conflict Studies. He also joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Pastor Thompson, let me begin with you. Have we made any progress, or this is like we're getting closer?
Well, it will be tough to say we haven't made any progress at all. But if we're talking about substantial progress, there's a lot of room for improvement when we consider the weight of the existential threats that the country is facing. I don't think the responses so far match the gravity, or shall we say the gravitas, of the threats we are facing. For example, we are talking about the news report. Those news reports are not really saying anything new. These movements have been happening for a while. There's a massing that's going on. If you remember was it 2019, when General Obasanjo made a statement that people thought was provocative when he talked about West African federalization and African Islamization. I believe that his statement at that time was also prompted by movement of troops, even though it was not necessarily the Boko Haram, as it were. So what I'm trying to point out now is that by last year, all over the world, everybody had known that the center of gravity of the IS, the Islamic State, is different versions, which you know is a global franchise, had moved away from the Middle East to Africa. I mean, some movement went to South Asia.
But you know, the question then, my apologies, Pastor Thompson, for butting in. The question then would be, why? I'm asking this because it's a trend that was coming. Africa was not unaware of it. We always knew that this was going to come. And we knew that it's our people who are always going to be at the end of the effect. So isn't there anything that could have been done collaboratively among African nations and even individually by African countries?
Well, this is the time when Nigeria needs to think carefully. We are actually the giant of Africa. If there's any country that should be able to understand this threat and lead the way in helping other African nations to survive, it should be Nigeria, if there's any country at all. So the challenge we have here now is this. We are dealing, like I like to say over and over again, with a hydra that was cleverly designed, first of all, in its earlier years to evade detection. And even when you finally locate the fact that there's a new war form within your nation, you may not be able to track the hydra's multi-head strategy. So the truth right now is that Nigeria remains the hope of Africa because we are dealing with a very intelligent adversary that has a vision, has a plan, is pursuing it. It is extremely opportunistic. It understands Nigeria's history. It has statistics of Nigeria's armed forces. It understands the makeup of the political fronts for Nigeria, and it exploits everything. In fact, let me say this to you. This is a threat that normally collapses nations from within. So, back to what you were saying, yes, of a truth, Nigeria needs to wake up and rise to its stature because it is not just a Nigerian threat, it's a global, I've told us many times, it's a global issue. We see the local face, but it's a global intelligence. I don't want us to forget that the franchise, the globalization of terrorism was perfected between 1990 and 1996. Next door to us here in Sudan. So there's nothing new we are saying other than the fact that we need to put on our thinking caps and get ready to handle this thing with what it needs.
Okay. Let me bring in Dr. Guinea. Now, Dr. Guinea, it's something that you have also thought about, worked on for a bit. What is troubling in this is, we always have these security reports. We are not unaware that these things were going to happen. And being an international threat, we always attend AU meetings, we attend UN meetings. All these things are always there. The trajectories are always predicted. It would seem like African nations, particularly Nigeria, tend to just open ourselves to these threats, almost like saying, we welcome you, by not doing anything or not doing enough to ensure that these things don't happen.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I just want to start from the first question, which you asked the Reverend. Yeah, the aspect of religion, or as you said, is actually the element of vulnerability that actually prey on by the vulnerable population, which are looking for something to leverage. So, if we look at it specifically, we will understand that where insurgency is happening across the Sahel region, I will just stick to Sahel region and then I'll move down to Nigeria. You will realize that this place, they have limited state services. In fact, if you go to the border side, you realize that the local population there, their level of citizenship is sometimes in jeopardy, in the sense that they are most likely to be loyal to whoever provides their daily needs. So I will just leave that onto that. Then when you check the level of the influx of armed flow in this area, you get to understand from drug trafficking down to different ammunition and production of locally made arms. Then you begin to see that there is also a recipe for this establishment of insurgency to happen without problem. So then the third point I want to mention, we really need to look at what is happening right now in the Western Sahel. And when we look at what is happening in the Western Sahel with the U.S. leaving the stage, and as well as the increased militarization and forceful use of the civilian to fight the war, for example, in Burkina Faso, and then the international conglomeration, saturation of different actors getting to Niger right now, you get to see that when you look at that border towards the Benin axis, the Kanji Dam, you begin to see that there will always be a problem. So, for example, you can see that recently Turkey was accused of, sponsoring the Syria fighter who are on a payroll of $1,500 monthly to fight in Niger. What is the interest of Turkey? To protect, for example, the mining sector, but that's just the idea. Those whose family, maybe counter some debt or others, the compensation is range from $30,000 to $60,000. So when you look at this and you look at the Syria fighter, where they've been and how Turkey is also trying to establish its hegemony, you realize that Niger is not far from us. When you look at the Lake Chad Basin, where we have the multinational joint task force, where Nigeria is also embedded, the sector 4 is that of Niger. You realize that we have some commonality in security operation. Then we have the external one who also established itself bilaterally with this country. So as this intensifies, you begin to realize that, for example, places like Lake Togoma, the triangle between Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, which is also very saturated right now, there is always a push from these axes towards Benin axis. And then when you look at the whole thing, you will realize that there is enough reason to witness influx of insurgents in North Central and in Northwest Nigeria. Maybe we'll go deeper into that. So when you look at our local area, you also have to understand that in this border area, there are also the aspect of who the local people listen to and who come to their rescue when they experience challenge. Look at Ansarudi. Ansarudi in the North Central has been operating for a while. In fact, Ansarudi was fighting bandits and telling the local people, look, we will protect you. If we protect you against the bandits, so far our interest is not politics. We are not into politics, and they rationalize the corruption in the system and others to bring more people, So when you look at this, you get to know that the hard security will not be enough to tackle this issue. Maybe I can stop here. Thank you.
One of the questions that's come to me right now on this matter, I just noted it. And so let me begin with you, Dr. Ogene. We've had, and I'm sure you are also aware, you've seen these stories on all kinds of platforms. I talk about Western influence, allegations of Western influence, and the fact that somehow we open ourselves to these things simply by not doing some things that we need to do. The influence of the West. I mean, Europe is also a multinational bloc, so to speak, but each nation maintains its independence. Each nation does the things that they're supposed to do. We've even seen situations where in Europe, there is an area, maybe like even just one building, right, that has 3 countries, one building. I mean, these things, they're there in the West. In Africa, and they even have a common currency. That's how much they were able to put themselves together. Africa is a continent like that. And so I'm not sure if we have been able to identify our divisive tendencies and our fault lines as a continent. I know we have it internally, we'll talk about that one, but as a continent, I don't know if we have been able to identify our commonality to be able to ward off the Western influences so that we can all see ourselves as one enough to be able to ward off this extreme violence, the risk of extreme violent extremism.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, you made 2 important points here. The first one is the external influence. Then the second one is how we deal with each other, how we identify our commonalities. What is interesting is armed groups such as Boko Haram, Islamic State of West Africa, and ITM and others, they recognize this commonality more than the states. And that is the reason why in June last year, towards, you can see that ISWAP went to Mali to train the jihadists there on the use of explosives. That is to explain to you how translocal and transborder this armed group operate. Another interesting part is in the group, you don't mention nationality, but you mention common ground. I was in the field in the past 12 months, moving around. I was in the border area whereby I don't need a visa to pass through, but the security will stop me for 3 hours because I refuse to pay. In some of the research we carry out, which are currently coming up, we ask the participants where they prefer to pass across the border. What is interesting is some prefer to pass armed group control area because they will only pay one fee. So think of a driver who earned close to 60,000 a day between Nigeria and Niger, and who explained that at the end of the day, he will only return home with 10,000 because he has to settle from the border side down to the other border side. So this is just an example, for example, of even though the mobility on the paper is working, but the instrument to make it work is a bit problematic. So this is one point. With respect to the external influence, we have to dissect this in two ways. Who are these actors? Is there really Western, and how? The US policy is different from Germany policy. The French policy is different from Sweden policy. Each of them have these dynamics that we really need to dissect differently. For example, we cannot say, despite the fact that French has left Niger, Germany completely is not off there. Germany is not completely off in Niger. So, and when you look at it again, when this actor left, then Russia came in. Iran is currently in Niger. So when you look at this actor coming up, the Saudi Arabia is trying to establish its hegemon. The United Arab Emirates is also doing the same in this area. So when you look at them, it's about the national actors, how they receive this, how they actually, shape this interaction for the benefit of the local people. So if I want to get to Russia, what exactly do I need with Russia? Do I need to outsource my security, such as Burkina Faso, where the presidency is actually supported and guarded by the elite Russian military? So what does it mean for a country like Burkina Faso, for example, to have a Russia to actually protect its presidency? So it means all the security apparatus of the country is already outsourced to Russia. So even if the partnership ends, then you know that we are vulnerable. So this is the instances of how the local actors really need to get it right before blaming it on the external actor. So this one point is important for us to underline, and that is why Niger today is not still on good time with ECOWAS, even though what he considers is doing is dangerous even for the region itself. Consider Mauritania. Mauritania is also a very dangerous zone, which has not been spoken of. Most of the armed group, they stay in Mauritania and they attack in Mali. So in the recent time, maybe you could study how Mali and the Mauritanian government are beginning to, have exchanges, because the Mali continue to push this armed group, and the Mauritanian government will say, look, you are actually killing our citizens without cause. So there is a whole lot of things. And when you look at Mauritania still have the support of France. So this is how this plays out, and it's important for us to reflect whether ECOWAS security apparatus on small arm, on good governance really work, and why it's not working.
Yeah,
so
Dr. Guinea,
really
Dr. Guinea, perhaps the issue really is we haven't even explored our own independence. Okay, maybe we have a semblance of independence, but we have not even really. Let me ask Pastor Thompson. Speaking to the same issue of the Western influence and all of that. I'm sure you listened to everything that Dr. Guinea said. I'm just wondering whether we have even embraced our own unique identities as individual nations, and then see the commonalities, as a continent, to be able to ward off all these influences. Because unless we even come to terms with that, I don't even know if this thing is ever going to end.
Okay, very good presentation made by the Dr. Guinea. But we need to take a bigger look right now to know why Nigeria's position is very important in this whole deal. Now, let's take it to a higher level, the highest level. What really is going on? What is going on is that there's a clash of ideas as to what the new world order will be. You know, for all the scholars and those who have interrogated developments all over the world after the Cold War, and I mean, after the Cold War literally ended, everybody knew that sooner or later, a new world order has to be established. A new world order is just a set of ideas of how the world should be run. And of course, that also contains a roadmap, you know, that will be put into place, which affects the foreign policy of different nations. Now, let's make this very clear. All the Western nations of the world have some things in common. Okay? So they have a common definition of the future they have for the globe. The Chinese are making a play. Russia is still standing up to and saying, look, we're still in the picture. Now, the interesting thing is that it's also the Middle East that may be the surprise, you know, in this new frontiers to dictate the world order. And what has happened is that from the Middle East, their major play has been to restructure the globe using a supremacist agenda that is so well put together. Of course, we can, you know, granulate this into little bits, but so that we can gain understanding and bring it home so that we can wake up in Nigeria. Now, ever since, for instance, I mentioned how America pulled out of Afghanistan, they recognized the direction of the wind. Now, in those days until now, there's something called the incentivization of terrorists with territories. You are going to be shocked at the highest levels of governance in this world, the level of back and forth that goes on. Unfortunately for Africa, Africa is yet to establish any coherent voice that you know, can contribute to the new world order that the whole, you know, globe is trying to establish.
Now, I mean, that is important, Pastor
the sparks are flying.
Pastor Thompson, that is very, very important. Now, the world, everyone in this club that you have talked about, you know, they recognize that Africa is it. Without Africa, there will be no world order, so to speak. Now, they all recognize the important place of Africa. They recognize the importance of certain specific countries on this continent, Nigeria being one of them, South Africa being one of them, and a number of others even in North Africa. So what is the inhibition for Africa to come to terms with these issues that you are raising and then be able to have one front? Are they having, do they have moles within themselves, or is Africa, chained by its own challenges of poverty and underdevelopment?
Well, the clue to the answer of that is in the history of the African, or the, quote, black race. The truth about this is, first of all, let me say this to you. All these tussles you are seeing going on, a major part of it is all about finances, economy, and the wealth of Africa. Now, don't forget that Africa, all African nations put together for the past few decades, have contributed less than 3% of the global GDP. Our share of global trade is equally dismal. Now, the point is this. What has happened to us is that the African mind, we have been put into a place where we do not have the ability, or we have not manifested the ability to mathematize inquiry. So there are complex equations that govern global economics and things like that. And since the raw material and a lot of what Africa has is useful to keeping the entire globe running, you'll find that until Africa realizes this, and this is where Nigeria comes in and its role in the African Union. And I think the African Union has been making some progress, especially when it's included the AU 6 regional. But for us to get it right, let me bring you something simple. If we want to stop this movement of troops coming into Nigeria, hoping that we are going to be the raw material with which they will launch their own global ambitions, I'll give you one simple deal, for instance. If Nigeria spearheaded a move in the African Union to move everybody away from celebrating independence year in, year out, to establish interdependence, at the global level as the African contribution to the world future. Now, what does interdependence, what will it bring? What Africa is saying is that, listen, all these clever tricks you people are playing, you say we are emotive, we say we are intuitive, you say we are unscientific, you say that we are incapable of critical thought. You treat us like the village idiots. In fact, if you research properly, you find out that we are just being tolerated on the globe. Now, our paradise is turned into a hell because we don't understand how to bring furniture out of a tree. Now, the reason why these things are working like that is because there are programs that have been inserted in Africa. Now, the understanding of programs is this. No matter how good a leadership is, until a country discovers the secret of programming, which nobody teaches in any university, we are going to find that African nations will continue to be divided. African nations will continue to flounder. We will continue to feel inferior. We will continue to be incapable of, developing our own resources to the point where we earn a seat at the table of equals at the global level.
Pastor Thompson, my apologies.
Wake up and look at the big picture.
My apologies, Pastor Thompson.
Interdependence.
Yeah, Pastor Thompson, you see, maybe I'm trivializing a little too much. But we both know that Africa understands, maybe Africans understand programming. Whether we scale it higher is another conversation altogether. Let me ask Dr. Ogine if he agrees with you in terms of programming. Because what I understand by programming, and I think I understand the grand scheme of what Pastor Thompson is talking about. Because when you train a child, for instance, you tell a child to behave in a particular way. And that's why, there are certain codes that certain cultures in Nigeria just happen to have. That's the way I understand this program, and I hope it is maybe just a microcosm of what Pastor Thompson is talking about. So what I'm saying is I believe that Africa has the capacity to program, whether or not we do it, whether or not we understand it enough to scale it higher and re-engineer ourselves away from the previous programming of colonial days until now. That's another conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a very important point. There are 2 points you made here. Is the aspect of governance, which is one, and the second point has to do with how we do things. With respect to governance, we all know that most African countries operate hybrid governance. The hybrid order which we operate is completely not in sync with the Western failure of how governance should establish. We need to recognize it and see how such hybrid order, I'm going there right now, how can we leverage that more concretely to really bring out the best in us? So what is hybrid order in this sense? The hybridity is we have the traditional system, which is embedded with our modern system of governance, and in that capacity, we are trying to see how we can strike the balance and how we can make things work. For example, you have the traditional ruler and you have the local government. For me, there are 2 parallel programs. There are 2 parallel governments. The traditional ruler, maybe they are ceremonial or whatever, but they perform the role of governance, especially in the places where crises happen. Where crises happen, the traditional institution, they participate as a judiciary, legislative, and also as a lawmaker, I would say. So when you look at those instances, because I want to go down to the local level now, when you look at those instances when crises happen, the traditional ruler resolve it. We have instances when a woman was raped and they said the solution to that is just to marry her the first. Of course, nobody will talk about it, which is also very barbaric practice. But because this modern system, which we practice, and the traditional system, we allow them to work together, and they also work against each other. So maybe there are areas of advantage when we have that. Then how do we really build up from what we have and to match up with the global demand? Because right now, we are talking about Nigeria as a giant of Africa. You have to talk about our security situation. How can we contain our security? How can we bring investors? How can we make our education work? Why do we have to cut up our vocational training and emphasize too much of the university degree? So as a result of that, we do not have a lot of people who finish from the university unemployable. So when you go to the area where conflict happens, surprisingly, you will see people have passed through university and they speak eloquently and they will tell you, we know this place, we know this area. So that is why when you go to the HAM group, you will see that you see a lot of intelligent young men and women who are actually engaging in different structural mechanics to repair the cars of the HAM group. They have agricultural economy. So you will see this organization somehow, especially that of ISWAP. So when you begin to see that and you see where we are today, we need to reflect. What have we gone wrong? Yes, maybe the citizen is not benefiting enough, true, but there are also instances. For example, when we get our election period, you know how tense it is. We use election period to scatter all the peace-building activities that we've already built over the years. And after election period, we want to start again and build the United Nations. So there are quite a lot of things that we need to factor in that contribute to insurgency, that contribute to Nigeria not having a standard order. As you see, South Africa is positioning itself in all this area. South Africa is not, shying away from being part of the BRICS. We do not belong to any. Maybe it has advantage or disadvantage. This is things that we really also need to reflect on. But more importantly is when Nigeria considers itself as a giant and is now investing in understanding the dynamics surrounding its constituency, there's a problem. And that's why it is not only just when a report comes out from somewhere, that's when Nigeria is supposed to know what is going on around it. Nigeria needs to be embedded because Nigeria invested a lot in these territories and really need to also think of its economic interest. So this is how I think I can answer. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me come back to you, Pastor Thompson. You may want to add a word or two to what Dr. Guinea has said, but was I a little too simplistic in my perspective of the programming? Because I think the biggest questions usually start from the basics, right?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. What I'll do is that while I answer the question, I will ask you a question and then see if you can get us the answer. Then while I'm answering the question, now, if you borrowed 50 naira from your friend and borrowed, let's say your mother, you borrowed 50 naira from her, borrowed 50 naira from your dad, and you got 100 naira. You wanted to buy maybe a computer, it is 97. You were able to get a deal, and you bought it at 97 naira. You collected 3 naira change. You gave 1 naira back to your mom, 1 naira back to your dad. You kept 1 naira. Now you have the computer, but you are now owing your mom 49 naira. You are owing your dad 49 naira. If you add those two together, 49 naira times 2, you get 88. And you are holding 1 naira. Where did the 1 naira disappear to? Anyway, let's leave that aside and go into what you're saying. Your simplicity is very good. That's why I brought that in, for us to see how we need to deconstruct first in Nigeria before we can move forward. Now, no nation will do well until you put value to the life of your citizens. And what has happened to our unfortunate history is that programmers who understand human beings, the Nigerian vision, the Nigeria of today is full of contradictions in its makeup. And as long as those contradictions are there, there's nothing anybody can do. The best will never come out of that country. Now, let me jump forward by making a suggestion. Now, based on the simplicity that you're talking about, what we need to do right now is this. Let me make a suggestion. The so-called democracy that we are practicing is so shambolic that it's obvious to everybody that it is prone to corruption, to you name it. It's not working. Now, can you imagine if we took the standard democratic model that has come from the Western sphere, we put in the checks and balances that they have put in, then we go beyond that to add 2 more legs to what we are practicing. I like what Dr. Guinea said, and that's where I want to go right now, for you to see how it is so easy for us to secure our nation. Now, instead of having the democratic balance that talks about just the executive, the legislative arm, and the judiciary, why can't we sit down and think deeply and add a house of traditions and a house of faith? Now, what does a house of tradition do? In the house of traditions, the traditional rulers will be empowered. And although the terms of reference will be made very clear, they will be empowered to be able to speak up for their people. In the house of faith, we're going to have the terms of reference very clear. And all faiths, that is any faith, would have a platform on which there's representation for every single person. Now, I want to say to you that right now, the democracy that Nigeria is practicing, the boy in Kano, Al-Majidi in Kano, does not really know what a senator is. He believes the president is a king or is an emir. So let's not deceive ourselves. We are practicing things that we are the laughing stock of many who are wondering, how come after all these years, they are still walking in the track that is so obvious? So if we put those 5 things as our tool and then improve the checks and balances, trust me, like you heard, in all those border areas and in a lot of places I have been, you'll find out that where the Nigerian governance, the Nigerian attempt at democracy is non-existent. The traditional form of rule is there. So why don't we standardize it, empower, and make them, accountable? Now, the interesting thing is that it doesn't need to make governance more, even more expensive. There is a way we make people, for the house of faith and the house of traditions, the peoples themselves must be responsible. And the laws will be put into place. We put in the checks and balances. We will have a hybrid form of democracy that will work not only in Nigeria, it will work all over Africa. We will push this into the AU, talking about interdependence now. But as long as the contradictions, look, 1958, when they went for that meeting, I'm in the UK right now, so it's amusing, but the meeting that was in London here in 1958, go and read the notes, go and see the contradictions in what we are calling a nation. So it's no use for us to be crying. I feel sorry for families who have been devastated. For the people in the south right now of Nigeria, they think it's a northern problem, not realizing it's a global problem. So if the media were able to granulate these things properly, help people to see clearly where this is going. You see, it's like some people know that if you put hot water in a frog, it will run. Or put it in water and start boiling it. Nigeria is boiling. Degree by degree. Degree by degree. That's the strategy.
Yeah.
And it is working. That's why you saw me when I looked at the Maghreb movement and I said, look, there is nothing in all the movements. There are things that my friend Ogidi cannot say, that we cannot say to the public. Talk about Kanji. Talk about the mining going on in Zamfara. Are there not things that are open secrets to people all over the world who know what is going on?
Perhaps one of the challenges here, Pastor Thompson,
as long as we have no value for human worth, corruption is killing us.
Which is the next point that I was actually trying to make, granulating it down to the people. Perhaps there is something really significantly wrong in our communication. I mean, you just spoke about corruption now, but a huge number of people are very much more concerned about poverty, about meeting their daily needs. That sometimes, even this conversation we're having right now, we're probably even speaking over the heads of so many people, including some in the elites, who are somewhat in their heads, possibly even insulated from the realities we are talking about here. This risk of violent extremism in the border areas of Nigeria. So how do we begin the process of communicating these things significantly to the people? You said that you feel sorry for the people who are being affected directly by this. Is there a way to help them prepare for it so that when they come, I mean, it's right there. I saw this movie Olufunmilayo Ransom Kuti last night, produced by and directed by Bolanle Austin Peters, and I saw the way Funmilayo Ransom Kuti took on the government of her day, right, and mobilized the people in her environment to go in a particular direction. Do you think it is something that can be replicated today? Or are we so impoverished in our heads and in our finances or in our resources that we can't see this possibility, Pastor Thompson?
Good. You've said something very important, especially that can communicate across the nation easily right now. First of all, let's look at the days of Olufumilaya and Kuti. Look, the sophistication of challenges has gone beyond all that now. What worked in those days will not work anymore today. But one thing we can learn from that, I haven't seen the movie, but I've studied, at least I've read about her life. But one thing we can learn from her is the fact that it is not leadership, really, but effective communication that brings progress and success. It's only that leaders know how to communicate effectively. Now, having said that, so what is the Nigerian problem? Look, corruption weaponizes poverty. Until somebody effectively communicates to the majority of Nigerians who are struggling against the tide on a daily basis, that all the dreams, pipe dreams that they're having, once you mathematize the Nigerian economy, they are not going anywhere. Those who are preaching all sorts of strange prosperity messages, this and that all over the whole place, these are just pipe dreams. Because the point is that if a bowl contains only 10 oranges, anybody who is invested in that bowl cannot start calculating on 20 oranges. So the point is this: the average person has to be effectively communicated with in Nigeria today that we are going around in circles. Your children are going around in worse circles. Their grandchildren are going around in worse circles. And the only thing is effective communication, that if we're able to show you that we need a common vision, that's what effective communication is all about. Look, what vision does is that it makes people disciplined. Right now, the way this country is, if one effective communicator is able to speak to Nigeria today, you will find that people, I'll give you an example. Obafemi Awolowo, when in the Western region, when he was about to start free education, don't forget that they started collecting money 2 years from every family, putting money together for the free education. Now, how did he do it? They went round to the Obas, to the families, to the communities, showed them the gains of their ability to delay gratification, the gains of discipline. Now, as long as there's no effective communication of a way out, no effective communication of a vision, and we allow corruption to continue to weaponize poverty, you are going to see us rejoicing over trinkets. Let me tell you something that Nigerians may understand better. I found out one time that the annual budget of an airport, I think in Georgia, in the United States, and the annual budget of Nigeria, for many years were exactly the same. So it got me thinking, how is the annual budget of an airport equal to the annual budget of a country where, I mean, today we are 220 million plus people? Then it dawned on me that, look, there's a game being played here. We need a fresh vision, effective communication. And because of effective communication, there will be discipline. Forget about religion now, because religion is tearing the country apart.
Which is actually supposed to be some kind of instrument of balance itself. Well, that's a very instructive one. But I'm not sure it's even performing that purpose right now. Dr. Ogine, do you agree with Pastor Thompson? Because, again, forgive me, in that movie that I saw yesterday, around some Kuti, the colonial master in the movie said, look, we're not just having a problem with this woman, Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. We're also having the same problem with Margaret Ekpo in Calabar at about the same time. So they were able to mobilize the locals. Pastor Thompson says the sophistication of the challenges and the solutions of those days are way more complex than today. But I believe that every generation has its own peculiarities, right?
Yes, I thank you for that. I think what's important about, I think I agree with what Reverend said. What is very important here is we need to look at the personality of this individual and their yearnings. If you look at it, it resonated with the local yearnings. And at that level, it's easy for them to really, push. But when you look at the current situation where we have, where the political actors does not represent They do not at all represent the yearnings of the local people. You know that there's no communication that will happen that will really touch the ground. Now, the structure itself is dysfunctional. When you look at the top-down structure where the senator, the governor, only communicate to the people whenever there's a campaign, or they communicate to them in such a way that you are the poor guys, we want to help you. And not from the sense that I hold the responsibility to do this, and if I don't do that, I can be held accountable. That is one point. The second point on the structure is look at the local governance today. The local governance is dead. So, and when you're talking about other communities where the conflicts are happening, you have to talk about local governance. The security subject is a subject of governance, is subject of the National Assembly, is subject of the federal status. But the point is, any discussion about the structuring of the situation to address this challenge exclude local governance. Our local government is dead. And this is the closest to the people in the modern democratic sense. So if these local governance are appendage, are dependent of the governance, I'm aware of the current Supreme Court issue, but this is the point. The local government need to work, and they need to be able to develop the local communities. And that is where the presence of the state can be felt at this distant area. And without that, they will remain vulnerable to unknown government, they will remain vulnerable to recruitment, and they will continue to do that. No military intervention will solve it. No policing will solve it. Communication can only be done when there's a cynic of ideas between the leaders and the left. And that can only happen when we bring this down to the local, and when we recognize that power belongs to the people, and when we don't just rationalize them and, try to make them only look important when we need their attention.
Okay.
This is the point.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oyewole Ogini. It's definitely an ongoing conversation. I just want to believe for the life of me that everyone who needs to take a thing or two have taken them from this conversation. Dr. Oyewole Ogini is a senior researcher, Born International Center for Conflict Studies. He joins us along with Pastor Ladi Thompson, who is a security consultant and joined us from London. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate your time, gentlemen. It's interesting that the two gentlemen that spoke about this conversation didn't even mention the security operatives. They just talked about governments of the various countries, right? And in Nigeria, no less. Especially at a time when the internal security is supposed to be championed by the police. But guess what? The police and the Police Service Commission tend to be at some kind of, I don't even know what word to use. I didn't say loggerheads. I didn't say it. You said it. I didn't say it. But what all of that is about, let's have that conversation when we return from this break. Stay with us.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. One cube, endless possibilities.
Hey sis, can I please borrow your wig? No, but I can share my data with you.
Hey, come on, give me some ice cream now.
No, Mom, but I can share some of my data with you.
Can you pass it over, please?
No, but I can share my data with you.
Oh yeah, can I use your phone charger?
No, Dad, but I can share my data with you.
Is it because Glo gives you data bonus? That is why you have been shouting. I can share my data with you.
With Glo Data Sharing, you can share your data effortlessly with friends and loved ones today. Dial *312#.
Power your relentless ambition with ultra-high-speed data.
Glo Unlimited.
your guy. See us we dey like beans and rice. Hello people, I will never leave your side. I will never ever. I dedicate my time forever. Time to you, my people. Even if the road be rough, I know mine. 'Cause together we shall stand.
Make we all come out on election day and vote Olumide Osaigbavo Akpata, Una guy, as governor of Edo State. He ready to change our story and bring better life for we and our Pikin them. Vote Labour Party, the party for Papa, Mama and Pikin. Make we vote well, oh, Oludi, confirm. Now you be our guy. Labour Party, forward ever.
Olumide Akpata.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of a family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste.
The police and the Police Service Commission over the recruitment of constables explained that what was being perceived as a controversy over the exercise was his insistence that quality recruitment into the police force must be made. Of course, you know, for those who have been following the story, you'd remember at the Joint Union Congress of the the Police Service Commission called on the president to immediately relieve the IGP of his job. In other words, sack him. Let's put it simply. For alleged unethical behavior and misconduct, which is it said could destroy the peace of the country. Very weighty. So what's this all about? Let's have this conversation this morning with two gentlemen with us in the studio. Olufemi Lawson is the National Secretary, Campaign for Democracy, is here with us in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mr.
And we also have Onyekachi Adekoya, who is a security consultant. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Mr. Lawson, let me begin with you. For those who are wondering what's going on here, the last I heard of this conversation is that we ought to have recruited about 60,000 policemen over the years, but for some reason, and this hasn't happened.
Yes.
And it's always between the IGP and the PSC, irrespective of who the IGP has been over the years. What's going on?
I think majorly something that is becoming glaring is that the PSC, the Police Service Commission, has over the years been working at cross purpose with the police leadership, the IGP office in particular, And why is this so? I think of all the powers given to the PSC, one power that has not been given to the PSC is the power to appoint or remove the IGP. Otherwise, the PSC with the characters and the tendency it has shown over the years would have replaced so many IGP in this country because of the fact that a lot of times PSC usually do not want to agree that irrespective of the power given to you by the Establishment Act, by whatever court judgment you have secured at one point or the other, the end users of these products that you have the power to recruit is always the police, headed by the IGP. So for anyone to assume that the IGP should not be particularly interested in the outcome of whatever recruitment the Police Service Commission is carrying out, then the person may not be sincere or may not be really interested in our national security. If you look at the PSC over the years, it has practically reduced itself to a recruitment agency. It has neglected other responsibilities,
such as,
including conducting, supporting the police in the area of policies and program formulation and other issues. Most of the times you read about PSC in the news, it's usually about the constitution of its board or recruitment of police. Leaving the rest of the job for the police. Of course, it is their job. But I think the PSC, given the power that it has, should have been seen as an institution working hand in hand with the police authorities, not a body that is always in the news, only when there are recruitment or when there are controversies around issues of recruitment. Most times when you have PSC in the news, it's usually around this recruitment exercise.
Well, Mr. Adekoya, what's your take?
Well, it's a very interesting topic to discuss, and I concede that we have had issues going on now for the last 10 years, if I remember correctly. The powers provided to the PSC is clear in the Constitution. The Supreme Court settled that matter, put it to rest basically last year. Yes, the end user is the police, but the Constitution is clear. The PSC would recruit and give to the police to train and deploy. I think Nigerians are not interested in all this story, really, between the PSC and the IG. What we see is some gross level of indiscipline and inconsideration to Nigerians. What do we care if the PSC and the IG bickers? We want policemen. The president in his campaign trail promised Nigerians to employ, maybe an overstatement, was millions of Nigerians in security services. We are discussing the police today. The Army, the Navy are also having the same issues with recruitment. Because if you look at the police, for example, the police has the PSC as a civilian authority over the police. You have the Minister of Police Affairs over the police. You now have the Nigerian Police Council over the police. What exactly is the problem? We are over-administrating. We have too many cooks. Trying to cook just a pot of pottage. So you are going to have these problems you are having. At the heart of the issues are political issues, really. What are the political issues? The former PSC chair was appointed by then President Buhari, who some claim is, he doesn't hide his political leaning in any case. So this may be at the heart of the issue. The man is out of the way. The IG then finally releases all the police management team, as they call themselves, releases their issues with the recruitment exercise, which hitherto was not raised. So there are some political dynamics, even in recruitment. I dare say the emirs, the obas, the obs have interest in those 10,000 constables. The senators, because their constituency members will urge them also to put in a good word for them, have interest. The National Assembly members will definitely have interest. People in the presidency also have their own interests. So this is just a configuration,
you have this on good authority, because there's some who will say that all these things are in the space of conjecture.
Yes, so let's keep conjecturing. When we made the conjecture about CBN, you can see the CBN cleaning house and sacking people. This is basically a problem. And I'm saying that Nigerians don't care who is doing what. All we want is policemen. To my point, and where I worry about gross indiscipline, with profound respect to the two parties in this place, the president, commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the chairman of the Nigerian Police Council. He is the one who appoints the PSC chairperson. The Minister of Police Affairs reports to him directly, and the IG reports to him directly, to your point that, had the PSC had authority over, then, they would have been doing chop and change.
But it's the president that appoints the PSC chairman.
Yes.
It's the president that appoints the IGP.
Yeah, so to my point now, what are we talking about here now? The president should give us the 10,000 policemen that we need so desperately. That's the point I want to make. There's somebody who chairs the Nigerian Police Council with the 36 state governors sitting there, PSC chairman sitting there, IG sitting there in that council. Yes? The president should resolve this issue. We are not interested in the bickering.
So the challenge that I'm seeing here is, if you listen to what Mr. Lawson said, the challenge of the PSC, according to Mr. Lawson, overreaching.
How have they overreached?
I mean, he's here to
I think for me, I'm not interested. I'm not just interested in president giving us 10,000 policemen.
Yes.
In actual fact, one of the reasons I chose to be here to discuss this issue today is because we must, as Nigerians, who are genuinely concerned about what the institution police has become really in Nigeria today, be concerned about the recruitment process in the Nigerian police. The president cannot just give, if we just reduce this to the president giving us the 10,000 policemen or 100,000 policemen he has promised, we will continue to have issues about the characters that are recruited into our police force. If you look at one of the issues raised by the IGP, a lot of unqualified persons find themselves into the list. In actual fact, there are allegations that people who didn't participate in even the screening exercise, at some stages, made the final list. And this is very glaring. You are very, very, very conversant with the social media. I have seen on a number of times where politicians, across various constituencies in Nigeria have boastfully, come to the social media to say that, oh, I gave 20 slots to my constituent in the constabulary recruitment. We have seen people going to do appreciation for how they got the job. And this is one of the issues. And why do you not find... I say the foundation is very key. If you look at police atrocities in Nigeria, of every 10 incidences of police atrocities in Nigeria, they are usually perpetrated by these people recruited at that level.
But the point Mr. Adekoya is making is that it is the responsibility of the force, the police force, to train them.
It is, but it must be interested in the character and quality of people it is training.
Is it within the remit? You don't just go just a second. Is it within the remit of the police by law to be interested in the quality of people that are trained? I'm just asking.
Not just the police. Even as Nigerians, we should be interested in the quality of men.
I understand that.
I
would employ someone that I would be very interested in the quality of people that.
Yes, that you want to
but I'm talking about the law. Does the law give the police that authority?
The police is not. The police, from my own knowledge, is not attempting to recruit.
Okay.
It is not contesting the power. I read the statement by the first PR a few days ago. The police is not contesting the power of the PSC to recruit. What the police is saying is that this product that you are bringing to us to train, there are questionable characters. Within, and we can't just overlook such a very sensitive issue because the PSC have the power to recruit.
I have a question. They want to recruit constables. What is the minimum educational requirement for constables today in Nigeria? They don't need a PhD. They don't need a BSc. All they need is SSC.
No, what is in contest is not even about the academic qualification
we
of these
talking
people.
about. So the PSC has said the police is alleging issues of character. I've looked at the force structure. The issues of character can be brought forward by the police because you have the force CID, you have the criminal database, all domiciled with the police. So if they have issues to say these people have criminal records, publish those with the criminal records where you have an issue with. You understand? The PSC has said all these are conjectures. Now what I'm saying, I'm not supporting the PSC or supporting the police. I'm saying that Nigerians need policemen. What do we care about the bickering? What I would do if I were president is say, okay, I agree that the police is an interested party. But by law, all the police can do is complain, which rightly the IG and the police management has done. They have complained. By law, the PSC is to recruit. They have recruited in conjunction with the police. Then we have a logjam. Who will resolve the logjam? Why do you have the Minister of Police Affairs? Why do you have the Nigerian Police Council with the president as chair? What should happen? If there are 1,005 people who we are contesting, it shouldn't stop the recruitment of the remaining 8,500 people, I should assume. Now, to your point that what we cannot say on TV is that the president also is learning, with profound respect to the president, how things work in Abuja. Because the president, as much as he wants to move, there are also institutional bureaucracies that is also learning to deal and grapple with. These are the bigger issues. There are appointments in this country that the president, by fiat, cannot, though it is his prerogative to appoint, he must also balance political interests. If we say we do not appreciate the centrifugal pull and push in this country when it comes to the issue of national appointments, then what conversations are we having? If we assume that the politicians, as constituted, do not have a right or an interest in also who goes into the police force and returning some dividends to their own constituents, even the president may be tripping over a fault line.
But you don't also remonstrate what Mr. Lawson is saying.
Yes.
But the quality of the people. Now, you said something now. You said that the PSC recruits in conjunction with the police.
Yes.
Now, from what we are saying, what's playing out now, is there any conjunction?
When we talk about quality, when we have a failed educational system, where do you want to get the quality from? Why are we
to say that, Mr. Adeko, is that to say that we don't have better qualified people, or that we as a people are not putting better qualified people forward, or that the serving political interests is more important than having quality policemen?
No, not at all. All I'm saying is that we must have conversations, balanced conversations. I like to be a realist. If you talk about quality, what is the measure of standard of quality? We've said it's not quality. The police now said it's character. Okay. If it's character, upon what are you looking at character? Who has assessed what character? I have asked, what is the minimum requirement? I've also gone ahead to posit that some of these problems are political. Former PSC chair, a non-PDP member, appointed by then President Buhari. He's removed. IG and police management raised us over recruitment. Are we going to stall? The critical question. Are we going to stall another recruitment exercise? While Nigerians are dying every day and policemen are dying every day over issues, subjective issues of quality and character. And I've said to you, the police is the custodian of criminal records. If you have found these people to have it, raise a petition. You can complain.
That is what the IGP has just done. What the IGP has done is to raise questions about not only the character.
And the PSC has said, show proof.
We're almost there. So I followed this story since the news broke. What the IGP has done, I think we should commend the IGP, that is even coming from somebody of his level in the police. He must have been part of this process a number of times. And if you follow through the police statement, the police is already doing what you just said now. The police said it is investigating even its own officers that were involved in the various stages of screening of those successful candidates in court. The police, what the IGP is doing, is not even demanding for a total cancellation of the recruitment exercise. It is that on this list, there are persons with questionable characters, there are persons who are deemed unqualified, and there are even people who were not part of the screening process who have found their name on it. So this is just like calling for a probe, possibly an audit of the whole result that is called the final list of successful candidates. And I don't think that is bad. This is something that even if the IGP has not raised, a very patriotic police officer, no matter how little the rank, should have raised. Or any patriotic Nigerian, because like I said, we are coming back to be the end users, not just the police, also our citizens. If we end up recruiting people whose loyalty will go to godfathers and not the state, who will be responsible for another possible EndSARS in future, we will all have ourselves to blame.
No,
so
Mr.
I think it is best that we address it from the root.
Well, Mr.
Rather
Lawson,
than waiting for that.
That root is the question that. So the root is the recruitment process.
Yeah, that's the foundation.
Now, what Mr. Adekoya is saying that the police and the PSC have to agree.
Sure.
Do you see that agreement happening?
It has to be. And I think
now,
these concerns have to be addressed.
One of the things that Mr. Adekoya also said is that recruitment is in collaboration with the police. The PSC and the police must collaborate.
Sure.
Now, I would have expected, speaking as a private sector person, that collaboration means we are together every step of the way. I don't see how a list like that could have come out if the collaboration was cohesive, as you said. Thankfully, you said that the police is also investigating its men who may have been involved in this process. What is troubling for me, though, is what Mr. Adekoya said earlier. It's been more than 10 years. And Mr. Egbetokun was not the IGP 10 years ago. He wasn't the IGP even 5 years ago. So that means, just as you said, there are more root problems. There are more historic problems. There are more foundational or structural problems. What is the problem?
Addressing this means that, just like you said, the PSC must, from now, begin to see the police authority as partners, even though it has power given to it to recruit, to supervise over certain issues of policing in Nigeria. But considering the fact that policemen are professionals, they were not trained by PSC. In fact, the police as an institution has existed before the PSC came into being. We must understand that the PSC must see itself as a partner, tapping majorly from the experience of the police as a security institution, and not turn itself to a mere recruitment agency that is always waiting for time like this to challenge or to wait for for the challenges that are coming, like it has been posed by the police. Moving forward, I think it is more important that even though, like I said, it has power, it must see the police authority as a useful tool to enhance the outcome of whatever recruitment the constitution or the court has given it the power to do. Because if you think because we have the power and we can just go to the street and pick up people and recruit them into the police, we have had allegations in this country of repentant militants and all sort of criminals being recruited into the security agencies. These are issues that we can't just overlook. I said we've had. So these are not just, even if they are rumors, we can't just overlook it, because on the long run, whoever is recruited, I remember that security agencies is coming to the streets.
Thankfully, you are aware that the security agencies have repeatedly, denied that is the fact. But to the issues you raised, the functions of the Police Service Commission include appointing, promoting, disciplining, and dismissing all officers of the Nigeria Police Force except
the IGP.
The IGP. Now, the process. I'm sure you have a response or two to what he said, but looking at the process, perhaps that is the issue. As I said earlier, and you also reiterated, it's been more than 10 years that we've been trying to populate the Nigeria Police. And right now we are quite significantly below the UN recommended police to civilian ratio.
Correct. So in terms of the process, I'll just start with the process. So in this process, of course, the PSC does the documentation and all that. The police will do the physical side. We've seen the statements by the Police Service Commission Union, which has not been refuted by the police management team, that this particular exercise was done in collaboration with the police management team. To respond to the other issue raised about the police being an institution of force and the PSC being a civil authority over the police, and the PSC should lean more to the police for experience, I would argue that previous PSC chairmen have been retired IGPs who have risen to the pinnacle of their careers and who I should assume have significant institutional knowledge of the police. What it smacks of somewhat is the indiscipline in the Nigerian police, wherein retired officers are no longer respected once they leave the force. And so that creates a bit of a friction. You won't see that in the Nigerian army. So that's where I point to perhaps an indiscipline problem. The other issue I raise, which is more fundamental, is the politicization of the Nigerian security architecture. Forgive the word architecture. It's been abused. We don't have a correct structure. I have said here that the over-administrating of the police is perhaps the big problem. The IG has a say as an interested party. The ministry has a say, the PSC has a say, the MPC has a say, presidency, senators. So it is very possible that some names were removed and reinserted. It's not within the realm, it may be absurd, but it's not within the realm of what's possible in Nigeria. And I'm telling you here now that there are some names that even the president will be careful not to want to remove. Because in the pursuit of national security, the president must achieve a balancing act. Nigeria is a very interesting marketplace where ethnic groupings come to negotiate at FCT for what they perceive is their own national cake. We have seen instances where competency is not the issue. They just say, as long as it's our person and it is our quota, give us this person. And I wonder how we, very suddenly begin to fantasize about idealism in recruitment into the federal civil service, where we have been plagued, continue to be plagued, by issues of nepotism, ethnicism, favoritism, and some questionable ways of recruitment. So how come the police is now suddenly the saint in the midst of the whole political conundrum we find ourselves?
Well, we say about time, shouldn't we? Because I mean, from what he also said about NSAS, the NSAS was just the crescendo of a very horrid number of years that a number of people have experienced. If you ask anyone watching us right now, they will still raise their issues one way or the other. So isn't it about time, right? We took very, very seriously the job of recruiting the right caliber of people, one, irrespective of where the person is from. I mean, if someone says, Onyekachi, help me recruit this person, and you look at the papers, can you get someone who is better qualified? Is it out of place?
No, it's not out of place. So to put the analogy in proper context, when you say NSAS happened because of the failure of the Nigerian state to support the police, which led the police into improvisation, which led to the backlash of the people.
Isn't the same thing the issue that the police is raising now?
No, in this instance, the argument you are making is that give me a Formula One driver for a downfall boss. That's what you are saying. You are saying give me somebody who is clean, who is perfect, who is for an imperfect system. This cup of water I hold here, if I put a speck of impurity, it makes this water no longer pure.
Oh, cholera for you.
Yeah, so there's even cholera now, sir. Not for me, though. So the argument I'm making, and I'm laughing, is that, listen, there are structural issues with administration, even within the police itself, that the IGP has constituted cannot resolve. Because it doesn't even have all the... Look at the police budget. Look at the budget for CAPEX. Without the state governments funding the police, there is no police. We have left the police.
By the way, sorry, on
yes.
that, the Nigeria Police Council, doesn't it also have governors?
So we are now, you see, we are coming full circle now. Let me make the point on why an imperfect system cannot necessarily bring out the best of even what is perfect. Why this whole argument is in itself very laughable. Look at all the Mopo squadron and all the police formations you have. Let them come out and say authoritatively that the government gives them all they need, logistics-wise, stationaries-wise, to do their job. They do not have it. So they improvise. The police officers have to furnish their own offices themselves. Are you aware? Senior officers in the police. They are called to Abuja, they have to transport themselves. So we don't even want to begin to unearth these kind of worms. And I'm saying, please let me land on the point. I'm saying that we should stop politicizing this issue. Give us policemen. What is happening is politics. We are not interested in it.
Including all of the people that the
all these
IGP
things
is saying that the IGP is saying are not fully qualified. That's politics. Just a second, Mr. Lawson. Is that what you're saying? That even if the people don't have the for instance, one of the statements the IGP made, well, we know that the way the world is going is inclusive policing, but we cannot accommodate that now.
Have you gone to the force headquarters, to the IGP's office before? If you've not, I tell you, IG now is no longer a technocrat or a functional expert. Is a leader, political leader of the Nigerian police force.
Simply because he is appointed.
He is appointed at the apex of the career. The DIG operation is the one that does the operations. IG is now a political appointee. Is at the beck and call of the
But the IGP always rises through the
Yes, that's what he has risen to where he is now more of a political appointee. So if you say the IG, I'm saying that the IG is not immune to the influence of the political class.
Okay. Well, Mr. Loss.
Agreed. You see, there are institutional errors, not just peculiar to the police. Virtually all institutions in Nigeria have their challenges, very critical challenges. Virtually all institutions. But the truth is that no matter how you try to restructure these institutions, no matter how you try to make them work properly, the question is that they are not going to be operated by machines, by robots.
I agree.
Mostly they are going to be operated by humans. So we cannot totally ignore the fact that the character, the quality of persons that are going to be brought into these institutions that you say, this downfall boss, we may need a Ferrari driver in actual fact to actually get the downfall working again, because the truth is that if we overlook the very fundamental, importance of who we recruit, not just in the police, this is becoming a serious issue for us as a nation. We've seen people, writing tests as teachers who cannot even draft paragraphs of statement, and they just find their way into the class. It was here that the former governor of Edo conducted an examination for teachers in public schools who could not even, and you can imagine what those kind of persons were teaching the pupils. And go back and look at how they got into the service. They have gone through the service, through the back door to the kitchen, through somebody who recommended, and we cannot continue to encourage this because we need 10,000 policemen. If it's going to be 5,000 policemen that are found to be qualified from this list of 10,000, it won't take us too long to recruit additional 5,000, rather than bringing some very dangerous 5,000 into the danger, the harm that even 100 unqualified policemen would do. Would cost us more than it will cost us as a nation to recruit 1,000 replacement. We all know the cost of NSAS. We all know the cost that the states have been made to pay for all sort of police brutality, human rights abuses in the past in this country. We cannot continue to say, for the purpose of convenience, that let us just move on.
But it's interesting. Just a second, Mr. Lawson. It's interesting that, this is coming up again, as Mr. Lawson said, and we've repeated quite a couple of times here. It's been more than 10 years. Now, what is making this a little more concerning is that both nomenclatures have police. Nigeria Police Service Commission. I thought one gave birth to the other. Consequently, one should be serving or servicing the other complementarily. Now, when that is not happening, it would even seem that, the fact that, you raise the issue of NSAS, it's a function of indiscipline. One would have wondered if part of the responsibility of the Police Service Commission is to discipline the people, does the IGP or the police subject its men to that kind of the requisite discipline? Because if that was happening, I'm not sure that we'll be having the kind of issues that we're having now. So let me just ask you, because we have just a little time. Do you think the IGP or the PSC is overreaching? Which one of them is overreaching?
Let me pick it from the point of, like I said it initially, that the PSC had a lot of functions. But practically in the last couple of years, the PSC has reduced itself without sense of responsibility.
So you're saying that they don't discipline, they don't discipline anymore?
They've neglected a lot of their key responsibilities.
Such as?
Like discipline, just like you said.
So they don't discipline the police anymore?
That's why we have a lot of indisciplined police officers. In actual, most of the times that we have seen policemen.
But you know that the police service commission can't just go to the police.
No, it's on the recommendation of the police force.
Okay, so is that to say that the police
that
doesn't...
has not been the priority.
Just a second. Is that to say that the police does not recommend its men for discipline?
No, I think the last two leadership of the police force, we must agree, the immediate past IGP and the current IGP has done a lot in exposing police atrocity in the discipline of men and officers. We see a lot of time where policemen are arrested for violation of rights,
at the end of the day,
corruption in the last couple of years.
At the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. It's the people that can really validate what you just said, and whether or not what you're saying is anything.
I'm not in the police. I'm also one of the people.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
all right. So, do you who is overreaching, the police or the PSC?
On this issue, I think the PSC is trying to be unduly overzealous about it.
Okay.
I expect that the PSC would take this criticism of the police IGP and demand, for a collective audit of, the list, rather than this, going to issue press statement almost every day to condemn the IGP.
Who is overreaching in your opinion?
In my own opinion, I think there's a lacuna that needs to be sorted out. Maybe a practice guideline, operational, maybe an executive order, something has to come gazetted that clarifies, that also does not impugn on the powers of the PSC to recruit, because the IG has raised a germane concern. But also the IG, the police management team, let's not make this an IG PSC thing. The police management team must also be able to substantiate. So that lacuna must be resolved, that when the police management team puts forward a complaint with evidence, then the PSC should also have a mechanism, which what the PSC is saying is that there were channels to raise this complaint, at least explore that. Okay, so I think that the knocking of heads between the PSC and the police management team is because of the problem of the political class. Simple.
Okay. Let's just...
So I'm saying that for the sake of peace, security, and our national prosperity, we quit the bickering and give Nigerians the police. And I'm not saying recruit just about anybody. I'm saying that people are paid to get their job done, for which we pay them every month. Can they sort very respectfully themselves out and give us a policeman?
Now, do you think this is something that the police council can resolve? Unfortunately, constitutionally, I don't think there is a schedule for meeting. So it has to be at the instance of the police or something like that.
Well, we have to look at the constitution, but of course, the Nigerian Police Council can, because they are but whether they control the PSC is not what I'm clear on. Though the PSC chair and the IGP are members of that council,
so they can take their matter.
They can take that matter. So in terms of escalation, and you raise a very good point, rather than leak something to the media, the police management team can raise a petition to the police council, which will be the higher authority over the PSC. But I don't now know what the Minister of Police Affairs would now be doing. I do think that ministry should be subsumed.
Well, you are confusing me for that. Yeah, police. What did you call police? Minister of Police Affairs.
It's the Constitution of Nigeria that is causing the problem.
Let's just leave it there. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Onyekachi Adekoya is a security consultant, and Olufemi Lawson, National Secretary Campaign for Democracy. One of the issues, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. One of the issues that Mr. Adekoya mentioned here is that, we just have to get the job going. We were recruited to do a job, think properly, and get this job done. Well, perhaps related is promoting brain health, and that's what we're talking about next.
Bring it on, bring it on. Life know the sweet too. Hey, if some people know they hate too. So use the number 6 so and calculate. You go see the ratio. The beef self na me too. Whether na asu them relate to. So bring your own crayfish oh. We go mix so oh Lord. Oh, share na them talk say we no go blow. Share them they see us now. We don't glow. Take a look at me now. Take a look at me now. We're running things in this town. Can't you see?
I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you do. Just as long as you're chasing money, do what's right, never give up on it. Bring it on, bring it on. Are you ready? No matter how you try, don't you ever fall. Keep your head up high and standing tall. Bring it on, bring it on. Are you ready? No matter how you try, don't you ever fall. Keep your head up high and standing tall. And rising, rising, rising. Keep it high, rising, rising. Bring it on.
This life is not easy. So much hustling and puzzling. Everyone is struggling. So make you know they believe it. Since everyone is chasing, you're never gonna make it. Never say no, never give up. Keep your head up, standing tall. And for sure, you go turn it up, turn down for what? Shane and them talk say, we no go blow. Share them they see us now, we don't glow. Take a look at me now. Take a look at me now. We're running things in this town. Can't you see?
I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you do. Just as long as you're chasing money, do what's right, never give up on it. Bring it on, bring it on. Are you ready? No matter how you try, don't you ever fall. Keep your head up high and standing tall. Bring it on, bring it on. Are you ready? No matter how you try, don't you ever fall. Keep your head up high and standing tall. And rising, rising, rising. Keep it high, rising, rising. I don't care who you are, where you're from, or what you do. Just as long as you're chasing money, do what's right, never give up on it. Bring it on, bring it on. Are you ready? No matter how you try, don't you ever fall. Keep your head up high and standing tall. Bring it on, bring it on. Are you ready? No matter how you try, don't you ever fall. Keep your head up high and standing tall. And rising, rising, rising. Keep it high, rising, rising. I know sometimes you feel like saying nobody's sent you. That's what I get for you, my
I didn't know vex for me. Say I never call you since, but I hope that you are well. I hope you're my caretaker. Every day I dey pray for you. Make you ever God bless you. I never forget you. I gon' forget you. See my shoulder, make you rest upon me. You know I got you. Now me be your friend indeed. Money don't show now. I don't keep some for you. You know go so far. Cause anything I get now for me and you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us or for staying with us. You know, brain health, that's what we're talking about next. You know, everybody knows that life places incredible demands on the brain. Age, changes in the brain structure, function, these all threaten various degrees of cognitive impairments. Now, to minimize the risk, scientists point individuals to a range of lifestyle factors associated with long-term brain health and mental function. Many of those proactive steps for supporting brain health are behaviors that they have long advised for other reasons: regular workout, balanced diets, mental and social stimulation, on and on and on like that. What do we need to promote brain health? And what's the Gabby Williams Alzheimer's Foundation? What's their part in all of this? Let's have this conversation this morning with ladies first, Ms. Olato Gabby Williams, a trustee of the Gabby Williams Alzheimer's Foundation. She's a child welfare advocate and book industry journalist. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We also have with us Mr. Peter Olanio, who is a senior officer at Gabby Williams Alzheimer's Foundation.
Good morning to you, and thank you.
Dr. Oziegbe Ogide is here as well. He's a consultant family physician with special interest in geriatric medicine, among several others, and he works as the head of triage, accident and emergency of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Viat.
You know, for those who don't know what we're talking about here, when we talk about brain health, first of all, let me even ask you, Dr. Ogide, do you think people even give much thinking to their brain? They just keep going?
Thank you very much. To start with, I would say that most persons do not really give priority to their brain, especially the health of their brains, just like the way they take care of other parts of their body. They just believe they are on the automobile, just moving, without taking special care of their brain.
The brain doesn't fall sick now, does it?
Exactly. So that's where the problem is. It's just like even the heart itself. Some persons just feel, oh, the body is working, the heart is beating, so you don't really care. But at the end of the day, these are key organs of the body that if any problem comes from those areas, the effect is really devastating. So brain health is very important, just as even the cardiovascular health as well.
Yeah, but speaking to how are people vulnerable? Now, as I introduced the program, I talked about one of the demands is that of age. Yeah. What's that got to do with the brain? Just context.
So generally, age plays a key role in a lot of conditions. Okay, just as we grow, the brain also grows. Just as we change, the brain also experiences some form of changes. And that's what is bringing us here today, talking about the brain health. There are some very common conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's itself. Okay, so as the brain ages, changes begin to occur in the brain. For example, the brain has a part known as the white matter and the gray matter. Normally, from childhood, adolescence, the ratio between the white and the gray matter is just about 1 to 13. But as the person ages, the brain shrinks, and that ratio reduces. And because of that, other aspects and function of the brain and the body is also affected as well. So it's very important to really take care of the brain.
Okay. You mentioned Alzheimer's now, so let me go to Mr. Olanio. One of this, just by way of introduction, when we talk about Alzheimer's, what are we talking about?
Thank you so much. Alzheimer's is a neurodegenerative disease. It's one of the neurodegenerative diseases, and generally it affects the brain. But not the complete part of the brain is being affected, but a specific segment that has to do with impairment of functions and activities as the person ages. Generally speaking, people above 65 years of age are more likely disposable to develop Alzheimer's disease. But in recent time, we have seen early onset and early cases of Alzheimer's disease in younger persons. So Alzheimer's disease is one of the family of dementia, and there are
few other ones that can also fall along the line of Alzheimer's disease. And but generally speaking, the dementia itself is the family name, while Alzheimer's disease is just one of the family name of the compounds of dementia.
But you know, the interesting thing about that is, I mean, we talk about the age as someone ages, they become more vulnerable to this. That's what you're saying.
That's right.
Is the condition avoidable?
Yes. The condition, Alzheimer's disease is not a normal part of aging. It is not expected.
Okay.
But if people don't take proper care of their brain health, which is part of the advocacy we are running, there is tendency that they will be predisposed to that ailment at the later part of their life. So early and preventive approach becomes a vital tool in encouraging people to live a safe life and to also disease from sedentary lifestyle that can predispose them to factors that can hinder their brain health, making them vulnerable to Alzheimer's disease.
Let me ask you, madam, I started by asking Dr. Vide about whether or not people are conscious of how they jeopardize their brains. What's your own layman's thoughts on that?
Can I just say something very we didn't sort of nail what Alzheimer's does to a person, and the gradual loss of thinking skills, memory loss. The brain is the command room, yes, and it tells the rest of the body what to do, and that starts to degenerate. So the commands to the body. Oziegbe, are you listening? And so you can come in here, and so you become less and less able to carry out the normal routine functions of life. So my father, the Gabby Williams Alzheimer's Foundation, was inaugurated to honor his life and his works. He was a public health pioneer, very fit, very able, intellectually brilliant, very sporty. And when he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a time of great darkness, ignorance in our country. And my mother literally had to learn from just online resources about Alzheimer's, what this condition her husband was suffering from. And we saw him go through the 7 stages of Alzheimer's. Just watch the degeneration occur, and it was heart-wrenching. And by the end, when we inaugurated, the year before he passed, when we inaugurated the foundation, it was a controversial decision whether or not to bring him to the birthday party. It was inaugurated on the 11th of September, which was his 80th birthday. And my mother said, Tone, it's important to demystify Alzheimer's. We want people to see the ravages, how it ravages the body, and we want them to see the man. This was a gathering of people who've known my father for decades. See what has become of Gabby, your father, my husband. And it's nothing to do with witchcraft, it's nothing to do with sinfulness. It is a disease of the brain, and it is a degenerative disease, and that leads to this kind of immobility. By the end, he couldn't feed himself, he couldn't even chew, he'd forget his food in his mouth. He was really almost almost vegetative, is that the word? Oziegwe, you're the medical doctor. Yes. But we've been told that if you exercise, if you sleep well, if you eat well, if you keep your brain very active, lots of activities, it can. Oziegwe, I keep on looking at you, even more than I'm looking at Ayo. It can help to mitigate. It can help to mitigate the risk.
Yeah,
yes?
but the question I'm asking you, madam, is: Are people even aware? I mean, you said something now. I mean, that mom literally had to grope for information to take care of her husband. I'm just asking. Many people are watching us right now, and do you think they are aware of that risk? I asked him as a medical professional, but I'm asking you as someone who is just like me. Do you think
maybe I should, how should people, what are the consciousness that people need to get to about brain health, speaking as a lay person and from what you know?
The reason why we started the Gabby Williams Alzheimer's Foundation was to create awareness. So we developed IEC materials, information, education, communication materials, which we distributed to all our events. We make friends with the media. I mean, channels where, we have a relationship with channels, we have a relationship with print media, and we invite them to many of our events, Q&A sessions with experts like Oziegwe, and we have a whole faculty of experts, public health experts, all sorts of family health nutritionists, all sorts of dimensions, all sorts of aspects of medicine that play into the care of someone diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and also play into the preventative approaches that impact on the preventative approaches. I don't think it is completely preventable, but you can mitigate the risk. And so, yesterday we premiered our 2D animation. It's the second in our series of animated stories around Alzheimer's specifically, or brain health. Yesterday was the premiere of Remembering Tomorrow, which promotes the meds lifestyle.
Okay, the one of the things that bothers me, let me come back to you.
Sorry, can I just add something? Precisely, the level of awareness is very low.
Okay.
Most of our activities on the field, we have an instrument for a questionnaire we've already designed, and from the questionnaire, when we administer
that's prevention, that's a big awareness
yes.
About brain health.
About brain health, yes, about brain health.
So we take it for granted a lot.
We take it for granted a lot. About 75 to 79% of people tend not to be aware about brain health, neither brain health nor Alzheimer's disease, because we have that instrument. Anytime we go to the field, we apply that and we notice that people are not aware, and so that is why we intensify our advocacy.
So, Dr. Oguzu, because what is responsible for that level of awareness, the low level of awareness of brain health? Is it because of poverty? Is it because of our environment? Is it because of our level of development? What exactly do you think it is?
Okay, for my personal opinion, I think it's multifactorial. Generally, most persons don't even take care of their health. If you do a quick survey, if I have opportunity of talking in a gathering, I just ask a very simple question. When was the last time you checked your blood pressure? You'll be shocked that some persons have not checked their blood pressure for like a year. Not to talk about brain health. Or
especially people above 40.
Yeah, especially those above 40. So don't talk of just talking about brain health. They've not even sorted out the most common things that can lead to mortality. They're talking about brain health itself. So generally, I think there's this lackluster approach towards health. Of course, like I said, it's multifactorial. Poverty can come in, ignorance can come in, and some persons don't just care about their health. So those are some of the things.
So, in terms of prevention now of degenerative, that's what you call it, degenerative disorders. What are the things that people need to begin to pay attention to?
Okay, so like we said, Alzheimer is a progressive degenerative condition. So meaning that once it starts, it just continues till
be prevented.
Yes. So the thing now is there are some risk factors for it. Some of these risk factors are modifiable, while some are not modifiable. For example, the age. Once an individual gets to the age of 65 and above, you cannot modify your age. There are changes that occur. Like I said earlier, the brain starts to shrink. There are some proteins that are involved in the pathology of Alzheimer's disease. The tau protein and the amyloid protein. When the brain shrinks, those proteins, they clog together. And as a result, the Alzheimer's sequelae begin to come up. So some of these things cannot be modified. However, there are some cannot be modified. There are some modifiable factors. For example, smoking, alcohol intake, elevated lifestyle modification can just help reduce the incidence. Because most times there's also genetic factors which are not modifiable. For example, an individual, maybe the mother, the father, there's already that risk factor there. Then going further, there are some medication that can help to decrease the progression of the disease. But just to mention, it's like a bad news, Alzheimer's disease is not really curable, okay? But the outcome can be extended. You know, the major issue in Alzheimer's disease is cognitive function, deranged cognitive function, okay, from mild, moderate, and severe, which now leads to affectation of the activity of daily living of the individual, from the basic activity of daily living to the instrumental activity of daily living. So what can be done is just to reduce the progression. For someone to move from mild to severe, let's say for about 5 years, with those medication and some other cognitive behavioral therapy and other medications, and maybe probably extending to about 15 years or thereabouts, but it's a progressive condition.
Mr. Olanio, you talked about the fact that the level of awareness is low. At what point in life should anyone begin to pay attention?
We have a component of our intervention that we call old school hip-hop. The concept of the old school hip-hop is to create awareness as early as possible in the life of an individual. We go to secondary schools and primary schools to talk to young people about their brain health.
So you think...
So there is no particular age that can be too early.
Okay.
As early as possible, we need to begin to take proactive measures towards achieving the best of brain health.
Is that something that needs to come into an education curriculum, or?
It is very paramount that we set it in as part of the education curriculum. We go as far as going to state agencies to get approval to have access to those schools. Because what we notice is that the younger people could be a catalyst of change within themselves and even outside themselves by having influence on the older generations.
You know, Madam, you are a child welfare advocate as well, so you would understand the risks they run from early in life, right? So what needs to be done in terms of this education? And he talked about the level of awareness. I mean, talking about degenerative brain health to a 16-year-old can be very scary, don't you think?
Yeah. Our film is for all ages. Our films, we have Waiting They Do Mama Dupe in Pidgin English, and also, I think Remembering Tomorrow is standard English. It's sort of a mixture of standard English, it's Niger English, and they're perfect for all ages. And so a screening of each of these gives them the basic principles they need. Waiting They Do Mama Dupe ends with a bullet list of how to recognize the signs of Alzheimer's, and then you contact the doctor. And Remembering Tomorrow is lessons at Obalende Buka with Toyi and what's her friend's name? I can't remember, is it Dele or Femi? Her friend's name. And they're talking about a lecture from a doctor who introduced the meds lifestyle, which is managing stress, eating well, the sleep.
Diet.
And diet, yes, it's diet. So meds, sleep, stress, diet, exercise is the E. And so these are very, very, very easy to digest principles that you can introduce to very young people very early. And through the medium of audiovisual and 2D animation, it's perfect. So we're trying to make these user-friendly resources. And we also have these, as I said, the IEC materials. And one of the IEC materials, the original IEC material produced by the foundation, included a case study of a tragic story which my mother actually relayed to the people, the press and the people present at the premiere yesterday, of a school principal, retired school principal, who tragically lost, I think, quite a number of her children. And the trauma led to dementia. Was it Alzheimer's? We don't know. And she was wandering around the town like a mad woman, and the people around didn't know what to make of her condition, and they started asking her questions, and she started confessing to killing her children, but of course she didn't. You know, it was all part of the traumatized condition, and they stoned her to death. And
so essentially you're saying that even trauma
could trigger Alzheimer's?
Yeah, those are risk factors.
So, gosh, there are some things we can do something with. There are some things we can't do anything about. Now, I understand that there is a website that people can get some of these materials.
Yes, Gabby Williams, Alzheimer's Foundation.org. Okay. Yeah, Gabby Williams, Alzheimer's Foundation.org. Okay. Gabby's GABI.
Okay, that's the website?
It should be, yes. Okay. That's the website. Fantastic. It's on the screen.
So all of the information...
Everything you need is there.
Including the videos that you talked about?
It's waiting to do Mama Dupe there.
Is there?
Yes, it's on there. But Remembering Tomorrow was premiered yesterday. So it'll be there probably by Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
Remembering Tomorrow, lesson at Olobalende Buka. There are a lot of fun of
all right.
animation.
So just to be clear, the website is... Gabby Williams,
Alzheimer's Foundation.org.
Yeah. Now, if you hear some kind of sound in our voice, it's not spelt in Alzheimer's. Just so you know, I'm just putting up that. Forgive me. I want to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today. You have triggered some people's slumbering brains to some risks that they have put themselves already with or without their consciousness. Ms. Olato Gabby Williams, trustee of the Gabby Williams Alzheimer's Foundation and Child Welfare Advocate, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Mr. Peter Olani, our Senior Officer, Gabby Williams Alzheimer's Foundation, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
As well as Dr. Ozigbe Ogire, a consultant family physician and head of Triage, Accident and Emergency, Lagos University Teaching Hospital. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right. You also heard one of the medications against, at least to manage Alzheimer's, is exercise. And that's what we are talking about next. Do stay with us.
I know sometimes you feel like saying, nobody's sent you. That's what I care for you, my friend. For me, say I never call you since, but I hope that you are well. I hope you're my cat still. Every day I dey pray for you, make you ever God bless you. I never forget you, I gon' forget you. See my shoulder, make you rest up on me. You know I got you, now me be your friend indeed. Money don't show now, I don't keep some for you. You know go so far, cause anything I get now for me and you, yeah. How are you, my friend? How do you do, my friend? I know sometimes it feel like say nobody sent you. That's when I take for you, my friend. Oremi atata, you always stay in my mind. I dig me gone. I cherish you with my life. Don't worry yourself, oh. Everything go day alright. And if anybody try you, you know it's gonna be on sight. See my shoulder, make you rest up on me. You know I got you, me be your friend indeed. Money don't show now, I don't keep some for you. You know go so far, cause anything I get now for me and you, yeah. How are you, my friend? I see you, my brother. How do you do, my friend? See my sister. But sometimes you feel like say, nobody sent you. That's when I for you, my friend. So how are you, my friend? How do you do, my friend? I know sometimes you feel like say, nobody sent you. That's when I there for you, my friend. I know sometimes you feel like say, nobody sent you. That's when I there for you, my friend. I know that's hard to call it.
I am not responsible for that picture you saw. I promise you, I won't blame anybody. Anyway, if you just happen to be that kind of person, I really am sorry. Anyway, but that's the next conversation we're having. lifestyle. Well, virtually everyone who has come here on this program has talked to us over and over again. Whenever we're talking about lifestyle, the first thing they talk about is health. Talk about lifestyle, talking about the food we eat. And a friend shared something with me in the course of the week, I think, this week or last week, that it was actually a short video that that stress could be a reason for belly fat. Stress, belly fat. And then the specialist went ahead and was talking about cortisol and all those things. I don't even know what all of that means. All I know is the English of it, but cortisol is some medical term. Anyway, Joel Uzamere is here with us again this morning. He's in the physical fitness space and wants to talk to us all about belly fat. Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's always a privilege being here. Thank you for having me.
You don't even have belly fat.
And I love this topic.
You are lucky Alera is not.
You're making my day this morning, you know?
Really? How?
Yeah. So, we have this societal perception that, how do you know a man has arrived? And I've had some personal experiences where there's a meeting, everybody there is a big shot, and you're the only one looking straight.
It's a big shot who has everything big.
Yeah. And so there's this idea that one of the ways you know that somebody's doing well in life is that, they have that picture that you showed first, that you showed first.
Why that emphasis on you?
Yeah, just so that that nobody says I'm body shaming anybody. But seriously, as much as you're laughing about it, it's a great cause for concern, because even as fitness professionals, we have what we call indicators, or how we know, how we tell about someone's lifestyle or about their condition, their physical or health condition. And when we test submaximally, of course, when we do a fitness test submaximally to understand a client's body composition, one of the easy markers that we use to identify obesity, and when you hear obesity, you've heard of other lifestyle diseases. So the minute someone is obese, around that obesity is hypertension, is...
So there is some other local government.
Yes, there's a government. Yeah, you're correct. It's attached. So one of the indicators is what we call the waist to hip ratio. And so when you just look at someone and the biggest muscle in the body, which is the glutes, which is what people have as what you normally call your bum, is bigger than your abdominals, which is not even in the league of massive muscles. And then you have that part of your body bigger than your glutes, then you know immediately that there's something wrong. And so when you do that calculation, maybe around your belly fat is 40, around your waist is 40. I'm just giving you an example. And you have a record, a number like 1. 1 means that the diameter around your belly and your glutes is the same. Because if you divide 40 by 40, for instance, you give you 1. The minute you have any number higher than 1, obesity is around. So that means that even if your stomach is not as big as some others, there's a problem. And some people have twice the amount of what they have in front, what they have in back. So it's a thing of big concern. And
first of all, how does that happen? How do you get that big in the tummy?
Okay, so
or maybe to put this guy, how do you
get that point
big in the front?
Yes,
as a man.
Okay, so you're talking as a man. Well, yeah,
I know what you're going to talk about.
So there are 3 things essentially that, and you mentioned one which was great. The first thing is nutrition, what we are eating. The second thing is exercise, whether we are moving or not. The third thing is our lifestyle. And when I say lifestyle, I mean your stress level. How are you managing your stress? Those 3 things are really what causes it. if we want to go into the conversation itself, and we want to start with nutrition, the easy thing I'll say is food. If you have poor nutrition where you are taking a lot of sugary things, and let me emphasize that alcohol has more sugar than all these, is this soft drinks they call it now? I think it was on air here that I explained how that there's more calories in even what we call malts, you know, compared to soda. You know, there's a way you feel, oh no, you know, I don't want sugar, just give me soda, and give me malt, and in your mind, you know, it's blood tonic. You know, that's how people think. Someone tell me that, you know, I mix milk with malt, just blood. What are you doing? What's that? You know, in the same way, people tell you things like, I don't want JD, you know, give me alcohol. And in their mind, you know, they are free of sugar. Sometimes you even have this so-called, you know, let me not even go there. So people are just consuming sugar. And it has become a part of their life.
Even though sugar has sugar.
Yes, sugar is sugar. If you have a cube of sugar and you put plenty of water in it, as long as you drank the whole cup of water, it's still the same sugar you get. It doesn't matter. Dilution does not remove the content of sugar. So nutrition is one part. It's poor diets. We are taking a lot of soft drinks, a lot of sugar content. That's how we are living our lives. And before you know it, you get to that point where you have that kind of situation. You can move still in, because I talk about alcohol and all that. You know, when also you don't eat foods that help your metabolism. So when you eat, for instance, food high in protein, okay, it helps your metabolism so that there's something called basal metabolic rate. That means the amount of calories that your body is using to even just stay alive. So if you take more protein will help to increase your metabolism. So you want to watch your diet. Is it all carbs and carbs and carbs? Of course, aside from the fact that carbs has, glycogen, which if you don't use will be stored as fat, as it were. But the point is not even stopping carbohydrate. The point is what you eat, all those sugary things that you are eating. So that's the first thing. Of course, the second one is people are not moving. People are not moving. Remember that we organize this thing everywhere where we call it we move some. You remember? Yeah. People are not moving. People sit for hours. They don't take the opportunity to move. And it's when you move that you can burn some of those calories, as you know. When you move also and you eat properly, it affects actually your stress level. You're talking about cortisol. Cortisol is actually an hormone in the body that studies have shown to be to affect increase in belly fat. So, and it's a result of stress. Too much of it comes from a result of stress. So those are those three things that causes belly fat.
In the name of exercising,
yeah,
Joel, I walk around from time to time.
Fantastic.
And on a number of occasions, I'll come to women, but I don't want to be guilty of body shaming or whatever.
Yeah, well, which is good.
But I actually see some people that I really feel sorry because the bulge is quite significant.
Yeah.
Literally struggling to get it down.
Yeah.
Now, so there are people who may be running the same risks right now. I'm speaking about men first.
Yeah.
I know that there are some predispositions that women have, that create that condition for them. So, in terms of, you talked about moving.
Yeah.
Tell us about situations. I know that many people, once they get into the office, they get carried away working, as in literally get carried away working, that they forget to move. How can we help people to move when the rate of forgetting is high?
Okay. Thank you. That's a very good question. And I do appreciate the empathy to which you are discussing this, because that's quite important that we are a bit empathetic to situations like this. Now, one of the difficulties is that when you get to that situation where you have a very big belly waist, it becomes difficult in a sense to get rid of. And so you see people who are that busy, maybe they try to work out twice a week around their estate, and they're just trying to do what they can. And of course, before you know it, some kind of demotivation sets in, because nothing is reducing. The thing is the same. So let me just say this. First of all, I'll start by saying that sit-ups will not fix that kind of thing. I just want to talk about what people tend to think that they are doing. Sit-ups will not fix it. So don't concentrate on trying to wake up in the morning, lying down in bed, and doing sit-ups. Don't do that. What will happen to you if you have such belly line is that you will actually develop another problem, which is lower back pain. So don't do that. Now, this is what you ought to do. The first thing is, now this is the context of you talking to a nutritionist and a fitness professional, yeah? But this is what you should do. You should exercise in such a way that you are burning calories every time you exercise. You are burning sufficient calories every time you exercise. That's number one. Number two, you should eat in such a way, yeah, that you are not adding too much calories to the body. Now, one of the disadvantages or the problem with belly fat, unlike muscle atrophy, is that you cannot target fat. You can't say, I have fat in my stomach, so therefore, if I do sit-ups, planks, and a set of exercises, I will target the fat in my stomach. You can't do that. In principles of training, we have what we call specificity. That means the ability to target a particular muscle in the body or a joint. You can't do that with fat. Fat sits where you want to sit genetically. That's why you see some people, they are big on the upper, some people are big on the lower. Nobody tells the fat where to go and sit. It's not a conscious thing. It's genetics. It's to go and sit where it desires.
It's a colonizer.
It's colonial government. Now, so because of that, that's what I'm talking about sit-ups. It's not sit-ups that will target that fat. It's general body exercise. So what you want to do is this: increase your metabolism. Increase how much of calories your body is burning daily. Reduce alcohol or remove it completely, okay? So you have to be able to calculate calorie in, calorie out. If you do that for a specific amount of time, 2 to 3 months, because the first month will just be preparatory. By the time you do that for 3 months, you will see significant difference because it's calories in, calories out.
Now, how about people who say, men and women, I don't have enough time to exercise as much as but I hear there is this concoction. Lemon, mix lemon with ginger, with this one. And there are plenty on Instagram that if you just take this, you target it, before you know what is happening, it will
purge your life.
It will just go and you just eat everything up.
Yeah. I'm looking for a nice way to respond to that. I'm looking for a really nice way. I'm on air. If I was not on air, I would respond differently. But let me say this. It's just focus. It's a lie. The human body doesn't do anything. Anything that your human body does and is fast and sharp, it's coming back for you. Because it's not built that way to just drink something and all of a sudden what you used 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to build, you crush it in one day and your body will be like, I'm good. No, it's not possible. Those are just people lying to you to collect your money. And we have all kinds of things that people lie to people about, and to collect people's money, so it's okay. But don't fall into that kind of thing. Some people tell you that they will purge and purge and purge. They will use the toilet. My belly fat looks, it looks like it has gone, it has shrinked. Yeah, it has, because you just, emptied yourself in the toilet. But that's not weight loss. Let me say a bit about the science. I've spoken about it here before. If you don't exercise to what we call a weight loss threshold, you will not burn fat. I will keep advocating it. You don't just go into a gym and say somebody is there, or you get a trainer and say, come and train. You must ask, are you qualified? Are you certified? The reason is a qualified trainer knows at what intensity you will lose weight. For instance, sir, as you are here, there's a training you can do where you start to lose weight. And there's a training that you can do that will just simply keep your weight but make you fit. And let me shock you. If you want to lose weight, the higher the intensity does not mean the higher the weight loss. No.
Oh.
So, for instance, let me just give you as an example. If I'm doing 80% of my heart rate, we call it the maximum heart rate, that training zone will not help me burn fat. Yes, exactly. So, it's because of what we call energy systems, the way the body is. For you to get to what we call lipolytic energy, or the energy system that uses fats, let me reduce all the grammar. You need to have a lower intensity. So it's actually about 50 to 65% of your heart rate, so that you can go for a longer duration. That threshold is the weight loss threshold. So that you go to the gym and you do everything in the gym that other people are doing does not mean that you are training as you should. That's as an example. Number two, some people, all they do is walk. They are walking, they are jogging, and they want to lose fat. Now, that is not the most efficient way to do it. I always tell this story. There are 3 ways you can get to Abuja. You can fly, you can walk, and you can drive. One is more efficient. Okay? Now, walking will essentially kill you in the middle of the road.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It will kill you. If you take enough rest in the road, you'll eventually get
so most people, when they do cardio alone to lose weight, it's like walking to Abuja or to London. It's tough. It's almost impossible. Now, the way to lose fat is by doing strength training. Strength training is exercises where you lift weights up in 2 ways. You lift it till you cannot, continue to carry it, or you lift it in such a way that when you carry it once, you cannot carry it again. So that's strength training and endurance training. Now, the reason why that is important, sir, is that when you train, that one also has a spectrum that you must train in, or else you'll either be building muscle, you are trying to lose fat, you have belly fat, muscle is here, you're looking weird. That also has its numbers that the exercise professional will compute for you and give to you.
Okay, my apologies. Okay,
go ahead. So I just wanted to just wrap up by saying that using those 2 tools where you are exercising efficiently, and as I said before, eating, you will see that you will begin to actually lose weight. Drinking one concoction will just cause more trouble for you. So it's to properly do what you have to do.
Okay, now, so nutrition plays a major role.
As in?
And exercising, movement,
yes,
plays a major role as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, by the way, someone is asking, what's belly fat got to do with blood pressure?
What's belly fat got to do with blood pressure?
Well, you're not a medical practitioner, but...
Yeah, so I'm not going to answer like a medical practitioner, not in any way, but I'll say something. Belly fat, we have what we call visceral fat. If you've heard of visceral fat is like saying belly fat. And when you have belly fat, it's an indicator that you might have a lifestyle disease, such as, what did it call?
The blood pressure.
Blood pressure.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's an indicator. So most people who are obese have that condition. So that's what it's got to do with it.
Okay.
Because essentially, it is too much fat in your blood vessels. I can explain how the blood vessel, what is blood pressure in that sense, so people will understand. Let me use 2 examples. If you have a hose that you run oil through, and you have a hose that you run water through, when you run that oil for 1 day, at the end of the day, if you put the 2 hoses in front of you, one hose will become smaller in diameter, while the other one will be the same, right? So it means that since you have reduced the pressure in the hose, the pressure of whatever is going through it will be increased.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand? It's a simple thing.
Blood
yeah,
pressure.
so in a sense, that is a simple way to understand.
Okay.
So if you have fat around that vessel, you are definitely going to...
We have 1 minute, Mr. Alzheimer. So I'm just going to ask, because this is nowhere near over. In fact, it's not even started. all about belly fat.
Yeah, we need to trash it.
Yeah. We have. So this has to be serialized, so to speak.
Yeah.
Some people are wondering, hey, you have not talked about my matter. I can't. You know. But quickly, if we can do this in a minute.
Okay.
What are the things that people can do this week
to do that?
To begin the process of targeting belly fat?
Food. Reduce your sugar. Reduce your sugar. Reduce your sugar. Alcohol has sugar. Reduce it completely. Take it away.
Soft drinks have sugar.
Yes, they have sugar. Sodas, beer, take it away. You want to socialize, ask for water. If you want to save your life.
That's not enjoyment now.
You want to enjoy for 20 years and then die. I don't understand. What is the meaning of enjoyment? What does that mean? Is enjoyment not living long and living? You know, you can be alive, but you are not living. You know, when there's pipe pass through all your body and your family member is coming to wash things that you should be able to wash yourself.
Oh, well.
So let's not even go there. So take away those things, then ensure that you are exercising. Look for a fitness professional, ask for help, and this week, move more. Finally, sleep well, because that's also a major reason why people actually have stress. Ensure that you are sleeping well at least 7 to 9 hours. Those 3 things is what I'll say.
Okay. Well, some people are probably in their heads asking for how they get it. Joel Uzamere is his name. You can Google his name. You'll find out the details.
Yeah, actually.
Thank you so much for being here again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And for spoiling our day as usual.
No.
So we'll return. I understand that he is talking about food as medicine. There is another medicine. They say that one is laughter. I don't know how much of that I can give you right now, but you get a dose or two when we return from this break.
Wasted in the gym before. I will tell you how. There's this friend of mine, he has his own gym on the mainland. He said, Larry, come now. At least people seeing you doing stuff, they will be motivated. Ladies and gentlemen, the time I was still gymming that year when I was in university, people used to call me Johnny Bravo because my gymming is not like normal people. I was small, but if you see from year, I was big. So they used to give me Johnny Bravo as name. So I was now thinking, like, that's the way it would be. The first day I got to the gym, the guy said, do 20 of this, do 20. He said I should do 20. I did 50. I said, how many times? He said, do it twice. I did 5 times. Bam. He said, Larry, I like you. He said I should do treadmill. He said 20 minutes. I said, me, 20 minutes. Mean that I can walk from Ketu to Ikorodu, 20 minutes. This one. That day, I walked from Bega, on that treadmill. I walked from Bega to Lekki. I just did run, they go. I was sweating. I was like, Larry, thank you. I was motivating everybody. You know, when God wants to punish you, He used to start from the dream. I didn't know that. I went to bed that day. And now look, in my dream, trailer jammed me. So I'm now thinking like, this must not be real. So I now wake up in the morning, I pray, I say, God will not allow this to happen in Jesus' name. I didn't know that it's that gym that I went to. Because I gym in the morning. The guy said I should come in the morning alone. I went in the morning, I went in the evening, and I went to sleep. So in my dream, the trailer jammed me. So all my body was weak. So when I now woke up, I wanted to carry my hand. You know, when you carry your hand, but you don't know that the hand have moved. But let me put this in. When you carry your hand, the hand did not really move because you want to go like this, but it's only like this, Irish, and it feels like you have done like this. I was not like, who is putting weight on my shoulder? I call my mother. I say, hello, mommy, please pray for me. It's like, I have spiritual attack. They say, what happened to you? I say, I cannot move my body. Then my gym instructor called me. He said, Larry, where are you? We are waiting for you this morning. I say, you are waiting for me. I have a spiritual attack. He said, Larry, don't worry. It's what happens when you gym the first day. I now went there again. So he now said, you did 50 yesterday. You should be able to do.
The only thing you don't know about my artist of the week is his name. right? You can see his photo. But he is a comedian well known as Larry J. And he's here with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, for those who are just seeing you for the first time.
Why? Why are they just seeing me for the first time?
Or against indiscipline? Some people are seeing you for the first time. Are you Bill Clinton?
Okay, let me just introduce myself for those that think they're just seeing me for the first time. Because I feel like, so at some point, I feel like I've pursued some people in their dream before. So who am I to? You can't say you're just seeing this face for the first time. I look familiar to a lot of people. So I go by the name of Larry Gregory, aka Larry J, also known as MC Larry J, also known as MC Larry J and Larry J.
Oh God.
And some people call me McLarry. I don't know where they call who mark it right. But I like the word McLarry because at least they think I'm very educated. Yeah.
Are you not educated?
I am. School is not hard. It's because everybody wants first class. That's why.
Oh really?
Yeah, I went to the easy school.
Which one?
The one that I went to Harvard.
Okay.
Like, I've had certificate. That's what.
Okay. Yeah. You had certificate. Okay. How have you been? How's it been?
Yeah, I'm very well.
I see that you've been traveling a bit.
Yes. By the grace of God, I've been traveling. I've been doing my thing, which is comedy, emceeing, and planning shows. And I have a lot of stories. I'm not everywhere that some people's life is very complicated. They need laughter. They don't know how much. A lot of people, even you need laughter. You don't know because, for example, someone that has not paid his rent, you just need. There are some things you need to laugh about.
Okay, so I should laugh about house rent that I have not paid.
Yes. When you laugh about it, you see that it's actually not a serious thing. You are not the only one that will have accommodation problems. You understand? You are not the first person that sleep under the bridge. Do you get?
So you just laugh
and just go under the bridge. It's fine. It's called migration. And with the person you just finished talking to, is that way to burn your sugar.
Oh.
When you move from apartment to under the bridge, your sugar level will drop. You can't be the same.
No, that one will drop automatically because the economy will not be able to afford it.
You can't even afford So it's because the reason why people are having disease is because they can't afford it.
So how because they can't
afford it.
That's why they have disease.
Yes, now have you noticed that even small children, all those children that grew up poor, they don't have allergy. It's because the thing they are allergic to is the thing they will give them to. I remember when I was much younger, they say I have typhoid. The same with water caused by water. It's the same water that my mother used to give me the drug for typhoid. Do you understand? So even the typhoid just goes, we can't do it with anything artificial cotton. The typhoid left now because it cannot stay inside this thing.
So what happened to you, the gym that you were trying to go to?
Please, if you are here, you can hear me well. If you are going to the gym for the first time, don't do more than yourself. Just do hoo-ha, and go. Do you know what it means to... I went to the gym, I could not bath again.
Why?
The water I can't touch myself. Mosquito will bite you, you'll be slow because you went to the gym. All my armpits, like... when is the Orififa Tararu? I had it. At some point, I felt like I was sick. After a while, I think my hand was not like this. And you know that if you gym, especially all those gyms that used to have plenty mirror, you now look at yourself, all of a sudden, it looks like you have big chest.
Yes.
You start having flat stomach.
All of a sudden. Now, it looks like you have...
Yes, now. Yes. It's because, the reason for my own is responsibility.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm planning shows, so I have lots of responsibility.
You have responsibility on your chest?
As in, I put everything in my chest. So everything I'm saying with my full chest. That's why my chest...
So when your gym instructor called you?
My gym instructor called me, Larry, come now, come and do this thing. I went there. Everybody was doing 5. I was doing 20. He said, you guys... I said, what's there? We have the strength. He will jog for 10 minutes. Now I'll do 30 minutes. Until the third day. I noticed I went to bed that day. The next day I went to the gym again. You see, after that second day, I was normal. I just know that I woke up. I could not scratch my own head. As in, my hand cannot go up. My hand cannot come down. So I was now like this. See, all those people that are on the wheelchair, they don't know what God is doing for them. I could not walk. I could not run. If you do pa, you will catch me. If anything do down, they will catch me. I can't run anywhere. My gym is also now, come, I believe in you. I say, I don't believe in myself, my brother. I don't believe in myself. Because they, no. It frustrated me. It frustrated me. I could not carry my own children because I went to gym. Like, I wanted to lift my child up. It now looked like, my child was looking like dumbbell in my eyes.
Okay.
No.
The previous guest was talking about belly fat.
Yeah.
And you know that one of the things they told you when you were growing up was that it's the people who have that have money.
Yeah. And for me, my own opinion, belly fat is not caused by all these things that all these medical people are saying. One thing causes belly fat is our upbringing.
Really?
The children and all these gens that have flat stomach, if you look at them when they were growing up, what they drank was SMA Gold, Cerelac, and all those things. You, sir, with all due respect, you look like you drank a lot of pap.
Well, it takes one to know one.
It's not, yeah. Me too, I drank pap.
What kind of pap?
The only pap that come in 3 different flavors. Some of us drank pap today, seeing that pap started tasting like ice cream in our mouth. Do you understand? Sometimes my mother will be crazy. She'll give us Ogi Baba. She'll now mix the yellow one with it. She'll now lie to us that it's milk. You'll be tasting, you need to say, like inside your belly is where it will be sweet. Which we will now drink it. Those things that we had then, you cannot give us 6-pack. You cannot have flat stomach. Because even if you go to, I went to pediatric hospital recently, and then a doctor was like, a woman came to the hospital. She was like, doctor, there's an emergency. My son is not eating. Her own son is not eating. She brought the son to the doctor to see the doctor. I'm like, no, because the one I even took there for immunization is a consuming fire. You eat anything, drink anything. At 6 months, I thought my son was an alcoholic because he was drinking too much. He was drinking too much. The drinking was too much. If you put peace in what filling bottle, he would drink it. He was drinking. He will suck your hand. It's almost good down his throat. So when this woman came, she was like, my son is not eating. You know when someone say, my son is not eating, and you are envying the person, like, hey, yeah, I wish this was me. I wish this was me. Because in our own days, when we were growing up, if a child is not eating, there's always a grandma that will come to your house. She will tie wrapper on her chest. My grandmother does not speak plenty. She say, oh, my, not that. Wet here. Like, they will put water on your body. The child that is not eating, he does not know what's about to be for him. Ladies and gentlemen, by the time my grandma, you don't know 25 liters of pap is on the fire. He's doing pop, pop, pop. Take one. My grandmother would say, give me one small stool. She will spread her leg. Once she do that report like this, why? You just know that your own are finished. My grandmother will now speak the only English word she understands. Bring it. Like my friend will say, bring it. The it she's talking about is not the pap, it's the child. That's the it. As they're bringing the it, it's sitting, wah. My grandmother just carry the child. She will block the leg, block the hand, block the nose. Oh yeah, error. Ladies and gentlemen, 25 liters of pap is going down the throat of the person that is not eating. As in, by the time you release the child, it will look like a shocker patient. The stomach will be in front, the body will be at the back. People will be asking, 20 kilo shares, they go sing Guinea. That's why now those children, they can't swim because that stomach is a life jacket. They can't, there's nothing you can do. You cannot have this the flat stomach. You can never have it. If I be a man of God, you can't have it. You can't have it now. Those pap of those that block your future 6-pack, you cannot have it. Show me one person that is 50-something that has 6-pack.
RMD now.
RMD. It's another person that give him pap. It's not his mother. And RMD does not have 6-pack. His own pack, his stomach is not in front, it's on the side. If she be me, I'm talking, let him remove the shirt now. He's on the side. He keep it in the side. If it's not in front, it will be in your side.
What of Dele Odule? He also has, he was exercising in that commercial.
Yeah, he was exercising. Did he have his shirt? Did he have his shirt? You know what you do for camera. You suck belly for camera. Women know about this. It's men that you people are still dulling yourself. You be putting out on yourself. Oh, you suck belly.
But Akpororo, you know, he's a village boy, but he still has 6 packs.
No. Some of us, there's a difference between growing up and being poor. It's poverty that caused his own 6 packs. Do you understand? He was very poor. He grew up very, very poor. And you know when you are poor, and poor people are calling you poor. As they are not even like, hey, yeah. You the low. Even
I will not be there when they are doing their own back.
Akpororo is my guy. I know him. Their big stomach is waiting for them in the future. All these people you are calling, they have big stomach waiting for them in the future. Sir, look at everybody that have big stomach now. When we were growing up, all of us had flat tummy. In fact, some of us have 6 lines, not 6 pack. The line is 6. It will be drawing out. It's hunger that causes. Do you understand? Our big stomach is waiting for us in the future. All this one that we are working at, don't worry. You don't even. You just know that you are not eating at all. It's the time you are eating 1 square meal a day. That's the time your stomach will be coming out. The one you have eaten in the past is coming to attack you in your future. That's why they say what you sow is what you reap. But me, I don't want to reap everything. So no, I don't want to.
So are we expecting that your own 6 pack is also coming in the future?
My 6 pack. No,
your own big belly.
No, I suck belly as I'm like this. So it's not. I suck belly. See, I suck the belly. It's that belly. I suck the belly. I suck it. You can't see anything. You just say, oh, Larry, you're looking. It's a pleasure. When I get into my car, Mo milata roy. Mo say mini. I've been holding my breath since. When people are looking at you, you not suck belly. Just. You be praying that let them look away. As they look away, you understand? So, see, entertainers are suffering. No, don't. I understand the part of the sugar and the thing. And my brother, you know,
but you can't say the same for whiskey now. Whiskey doesn't have big belly.
So, like I said, he's waiting for them in the future. He's waiting for them. There's a kind of responsibility you have in your family. They will think you are the one that you are worrying the family. Do you understand? You want to jabber family. Like, he's waiting for them in the future. Let Whiskey, let him celebrate his 40th birthday. Go and check his stomach. It will not show like they're having... Just the first symptom of knowing that your stomach has started coming out. First of all, when you wear belts, if you look down, you will not see the belt again. You have started having it.
Okay, so far we've only spoken about men. How about women?
I don't want to talk about women because my wife is a woman. My mother is a woman. If I talk about them, I don't want to have accommodation problem. So my wife is watching this thing. She's wow, she's a very beautiful woman. Do you understand? She has flat stomach in Jesus' name.
All women except your women. In Jesus' name?
Yeah, she has flat stomach in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Yeah, because she has seen the future of the flat stomach, and I see it with her. Like my wife has flat stomach, my mother has flat stomach. But to God be the glory, I don't have any sister, so every other woman, like women have flat stomach, all of them. All of them. If they don't have it, they will buy it. Do you understand?
They will buy it.
Yeah, they will now hook it. So you know what I'm talking about. Those ones that they wear that they can't laugh at.
I beg. You
not be looking at them.
You have one show coming.
Yes,
I have one that you did one. Was it in the UK?
On Christmas. Yeah, I did one in the UK.
Okay, how was it?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
This is the same you were making all of them cry.
No. In fact, God even blessed me. One man even dashed me money. And to God be he dashed me money.
That's 10%.
Are you God? You cannot collect 10%.
No, I'm.
You are his son, so you collect less and
I can be ambassador now.
You can be ambassador for the gift that God gave me. No, but it went well. The show I had in the UK went very, very well. We had a good number of people, and I love the fact that we didn't make it table setting. It was a theater setting. Like everybody was seated. I was close to my audience, and we were all relating, and everybody could. It was like I do realistic jokes, and they were able to relate to it. And for this year, very soon we have a show coming up on the 7th of July, also, and need to be.
In what country is that one?
In Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are using Providence Road, Harvester Space.
Are you planning to pay for this commercial that you have?
No, I'm not. I'm opportunity bots come once. But opportunity cuts bots. Well, but we're also having something quite interesting. We'll be having a fine arts competition, which because I know these fine artists in this economy. It's like they are not who want to buy painting. Is it that reason that you'll be buying somebody's painting? So we have decided to give someone with the finest art. Big shout out to Maradon, that's the art gallery that they do therapeutic art. So they help people with mental health issues through art. You've not seen, it's not a very common thing. And when you come to the show, you'll see more about it.
7th July, you said?
7th of July, 7th of July.
Anyway, I'm sure that all of the information is all over the internet.
Yeah, it's all over the internet.
Okay.
At MC Larry, you see it.
At MC Larry J on Instagram, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just this last one before we close. Ali Baba came here, sat where you're seated right now. And he said, yes, that very seat. He said, the entertainment industry the creative industry in Lagos alone, when Fashola was in government, it was worth 16 billion naira every weekend.
Yeah.
Weekend alone. That's today to be between 20 and 25 billion naira every weekend.
Yeah.
How does that make you? How make you feel?
It makes me feel like I need to do more so I can collect even if it's 10% of the money that they say.
Oh God.
No, it's not me that give them the money. So who am I to be spending? You know, I'm looking for the money too. That's why I'm doing show. You think I will have 6 billion? I will do show. I'm not sure I can.
I'm not asking you any question again. Thank you very much.
No. That money you mentioned is not entering my eyes. No, I feel like a child of God. I want to collect 10%. Just give me 10%. 20 billion.
Maybe you said you don't want to.
20 billion. How much is my mother's bride price? 20 billion. Even my mother, if I have 20 billion, my mother will say, "Kill him, she come holy funny." You can't. Even Alibaba does not have 20 billion that he's talking about.
I want to close the show.
Alibaba came here and said 20 billion. 20 billion.
Okay, well, thank you very much for
20 billion.
Larry J closes the show for us today. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. 20 billion. 27th of July, don't forget.
Big shout out to Thank you very much.